lips and black raw in the projects. Rich is whipping that black hard. Rhymes insane. My skills is whipping that crack hard. Look at LeBron James. The black guard got big lips and black raw. As soon as I leave Earth, it's back to the stars. Right in the job, lives with jewelers and girls. Just ask knives if I rule the world. Yo, my mental vision, setting up intuition, and you really don't have nothing if you intuition. I work with light just to give birth to life. I was born in all forms in the perfect night. The black god got big lips and black rods. As soon as I leave Earth, it's back to the stars. I am the ruler, just like the Lion of Judah. My third eye was built like an iron computer that's dark matter and deep thought making your heart shatter. I sleepwalk, talking with smart chatter, so I don't need you to ride or die with me. I got ancestors that vibe from the other side with me, and they beam up life after death. We got noses on our eyes, cause the light's a breath. My priceless flesh, the final copy, looks like Anunnaki. Black God, got big lips and black raw in the projects. Rich is whipping that black hard. I'm just saying, my skills is whipping that crack hard. Look at LeBron James. The black guard got big lips and black raw. As soon as I leave Earth, it's back to the stars. Right in the job, lives with jewelers and girls. Just ask knives if I rule the world. Yo, the black guard got big lips and black rods in the projects. Rich is whipping that black hard. My rhymes the same. My skills is whipping that crack hard. Look at LeBron James, that nigga's a black guard. And you wonder why we spit lead. Just the old raps, niggas got big heads like old Max. Way that I'm writing is more than Vegas. It's the age of enlightenment. Be the more than Spain. Now that your honor, I pray to a black vagina. Even the Pope prayed to the black Madonna. In the sun, I shine as bright as I be. I'm the greatest of all time, like Muhammad Ali. And when I die, baptized in the fire. Only flag night, black skies are higher. Prior to job, my lives with jewelers and girls. Just sex knives if I rule the world, rubies and pearls. The black god got big lips and black raw in the projects. Rich is whipping that black hard. I'm just saying, my skills is whipping that crack hard. Look at LeBron James. The black guard got big lips and black raw. As soon as I leave Earth, it's back to the stars. Right in the job, lives with jewelers and girls. Just ask knives if I rule the world. Yo, the black guard, infinite to infinite stars. It's infinite light. My life's got an infinite charge. The instruments I implement to give strength to your heart. The temple within, the imprint, mimic the art. Into the dark, the dragon spark the fathom from a higher consciousness. I talk with atoms, I live in the land, and I live in the stars. Original man, I am the image of God. On the touch, I'm common. I cut diamonds, so as long as I live, nothing can stop shining. You gon' need to be in the bins to drive me crazy. Live on CNN, hearing cries from Haiti. You know the people down there trying to hide them babies. The black guards, surrounded in light, attract stars. Black guards, surrounded in light, attract stars. The black guards, surrounded in light, attract stars.
I told you, all of my critics, I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. All of you, I know you got it. I know you got it. But the man that comes, I'm gonna show you how great I am. I told you, I'm the real champion. I told you, I'm the champion of the world. All of you know, all of my critics, all of you know.
Peace, 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 peace. Let me see if my audio is correct. Yeah, it sounds like it's correct. We got 33 people in here. That's that angel number. Shout out to the 33 people that joined the build for the day. Shout out to all the gods, goddesses, North, South, Central, conjoined islands, and the brothers and sisters that was also sent aboard in other countries as well. Just going through a little build today. We're going to clarify some things and, try to get a correct and right and exact, understanding to, just a lot of this nonsense that be going out here among some of these YouTubers and just some people who just be talking just in general, so, I like to say this first and foremost. 44, another angel number. I like to say this first and foremost. I speak for myself. None of my views should be projected among no other individual who I happen to have, communication with, or who I happen to have some type of unity with, or none of the brothers and sisters who I rock with just on a regular basis. So I speak for myself, and if anybody have any issues with anything that Ahanu Kiel or Tantalus 1 or A1 says, please contact me at chiefautochthon at AOL.com. Okay? Please contact me as soon as possible. With that being said, just want to touch on a few things. I might share my screen for a minute just to further, enlighten some of the people who don't know, who just came into this so-called paradigm of what we call Native Americans or indigenous people or black Indians or Atanchans or aboriginals just in general. Okay? Now, we seem to have a group of individuals out here, right, who like to cause division and like to make these terms separate and try to like cause some type of civil war within this so-called consciousness, or like I said, paradigm of just so-called colors, Negroes, blacks, and African Americans who, over the last 20 years, I'm talking about with the exception of us as a whole, because prior to that, a lot of our ancestors been recognized who we were and some of the nations that we went under as well, right? But just a lot of I say like a lot of the new generation that just kind of woke up from being a Pan African or a Hebrew or some of these other terms that we put out there, um, and just started to recognize that they were the Atanchans of this land and the Aboriginals of this land. Now understand this, right? Me myself, when I use the term Aboriginal, it's as a collective of the people that scattered throughout the Americas. That can be referenced as Indians. That can be referenced as Pequots, Nassagarets, Massachusetts, um, Mahatas, um, Lenapes, Powhatans, Chiaki or Anayawiya, Timuku, Seminole, Creek, Choctaw, Alabama, Anasazi, etc. Right? So for me not to have to go through all of these different terms, we go straight to the term Aboriginal, which denotes the people of this land, right? Whether or not you go by your so-called nation or quote tribal off quote affiliations. I don't like to use the term tribal because to me that's more of a primitive mind state. I have more of a vast view of the Americas, so I don't just contain myself to using the term tribal because I am not naive and I understand that our people had nations over here. Our people had science. Our people had astronomy, cosmology, geometry, and civics. Whether some people recognize that or they don't recognize that. You have some individuals who don't recognize that. You have some individuals who, up until a year ago, still think that we lived in teepees. When 3 or 4 years ago, I put out the American World Fair. We put out the American Indian Encyclopedia and showed that we was building structures and showed that we was creating bricks from putting mud in ovens and creating bricks and creating so-called these mason structures that you see out here throughout the Americas, whether it is these pyramids, whether it is these long houses, which in people in New York reference as um brownstones, etc. We had the science here. We was just not limited to no motherfucking teepees and limited to no wampongs and some of these other primitive structures that they show us in. Okay? So with that being said, I like people to understand that there is no separation from what individuals call themselves Indians, which I'm gonna get into in a minute because we wasn't calling ourselves Indians. Um, we wasn't calling ourselves Aborigines neither. But the term Aborigine is basically denoting of the people of this land. Whether this term was used by a European or by us calling ourselves that, you know what I'm saying, just to be correct with the understanding that we are from this land. I myself, I like to use the term Atanchan, one sprung from the soil he or she inhabits. Okay? Meaning my people didn't travel from nowhere. Now, occasionally I do go beyond the history ramifications, and I do talk about Lemuria. I do talk about Atlantis, etc. Okay, but that's more of a hypothesis of a historical view on just on the creations or the origins of what we see, some of the stuff that we are observing at this point in time today. Okay, but in completely whole, I consider myself to be an Atanchan. Okay, I know Atanchan is not. Well, then again, I can't even say because that they try to say that the Greeks created that word, which like I can go back far and tell you that the Greeks was the Minoans. The Minoans spoke the language of what the fuck is the language? I can't get the language out right now. But the language that was found in Central America and throughout the Florida regions, um, they found that language in the land, what we call Greek or Rome or over there in the Mediterranean, which is the middle of the earth, according to them. Okay, so understand this. You got a group of individuals who like to put out and say and separate and say aboriginals, right? But then the funny thing is this, right? See, what I do is I sit back and watch motherfuckers and I see if a person is sincere or not, right? My mother always told me not to trust a lying motherfucker or a person who you always catch in a lie. Because that means that they're not honest and that means that they're they're not a sincere individual. So when you catch some of these people in lies and these people are using this same game or this street mentality to kind of make themselves reference or to try to make themselves known or whatever, you have to question some of these individuals out there. You have to question them. You have to question their honesty and is they speaking from the heart. You know, the so-called Native Americans, not us, but the Native Americans that we consider to be the foreign Native Americans. They got a saying called "the white man speak with a false tongue," meaning that he's not telling you the truth. And some of these Aborigines or some of these black Indians or some of these indigenous black Indians or some of these black Native Americans speak with a false fucking tongue. And they use the method of divide and conquer and try to get as many people on their side as they can. I don't care who the fuck is on my side. I don't care if two or three people is in a goddamn chat room. At the end of the fucking day, the lessons is going to go. We're going to go. We're going to continue this shit, and we're going to get a proper understanding. And hopefully, somebody has learned something throughout the duration of this so-called blog or podcast or what I'm saying, or just build that we be doing. So understand, man. There's a lot of individuals that I see that like to separate so-called black Aborigines or black Indians or black Native Americans or black indigenous people or black Atanchans, you know what I'm saying, in order to create, you know what I'm saying, divide and conquer. It was something that I don't like myself. Because me, myself, I've been doing this for roughly 7 years. When I didn't see, it wasn't 5 or 6 channels out there. And like I said, I can always go back to the channels in which that was out there of the individuals who were talking about this, which it was probably only a handful of people. You know what I'm saying? It was only a handful of people talking about this. Now, through the evolution of this, you have more people who who started to analyze and started to observe that we have been here. We're not African Americans. Ain't wasn't no Africans brought over here. And I like to say that myself. That's something that I say. The Africans that I know that came over here just came here within the 19th century. I don't mean myself from my research, you know, there were no Africans that came here. The Olmecs wasn't Africans. Abukari didn't travel here from Africa, and all of these fantasy stories that we hear. The white man went over to Africa, brought you over here, put you straight to fucking work, and in a place where he never been at, he don't know the terrain of this land. He don't know if some of these plants are poison or some of the stuff that they're farming, whether or not it's going to kill you or it's going to give you the nutrients that you need to be able to continue your stay here on this so-called plane, planet, dimension, or whatever the hell you choose to, you know what I'm saying, you choose to call it. Okay, so like I said, a lot of people are misinformed. Even some of these people who are affiliated with some of these tribes, they believe that the white man came here and destroyed their tribes in the 17, 1600 when white people did not have no fucking power. White people was no what we call Europeans or what we call the pale or the pale skin race of people did not have power until after the motherfucking Civil War. And you can quote me on that because all of the information points towards that. From them running into these towns in the late 1800s through the 19th century, all the way up until the civil rights movement, they running up into these towns saying that, oh, a black man touched the white woman or raped the white woman or whatever. All of these stories are all of the fact, and they all have all of the same reference that, they ran up into these towns, took over these towns, and ran the people out of. And like I said, a lot of the history here and a lot of the land in which the United States of America was able to claim was abandoned property. And that will further you down into people doing land patterns and all of this other stuff that is very beneficial. But at the end of the day, anybody that you subject yourself to, that you have to file something to, is basically you asking them strictly for permission. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I'm saying that in the greatest scheme of things. Yeah, I mean, me myself, I had to file paperwork for me to put my status on record or to put these people on notice. And that's another thing that even if you're doing the land thing, you're kind of putting these people on notice that no, this is our land. But once they put up a fight or tell you, nah, this ain't your land, and they make you go through some type of litigation or the judicial process in order to claim it, then that is when shit go real left from there. Okay, but what I like to say back to the Aboriginal community, because I was under the assumption that all of these people who claim who they were or claiming that they was a Tanchans of this land, was it whatever tribal or nation affiliation you have, I was under the impression that we all was Aboriginal. I thought that we was all clear on exactly what that term is. But you got these motherfuckers out here who like to play games. This is not a game to me. And like I said, I was never in this for no Federal Reserve or no type of monetary gain. Like I told you, the Autochtons and the ancestors basically compel me to do my research. I don't know about anybody else, but that's exactly what basically triggered me to keep it moving and for me to do what I'm doing now. So understand that. If a person would like to send donations or anything like that, yeah, that's lovely. But I've never requested any of that. I just went and did the research and put the research out there for the people. Whether you agree or you disagree, at least I'm giving you some type of template to start your research from and to go from there. Okay, so like I'm saying, and another thing is, me personally, I have no problem with anybody going back doing their research or their genealogy and finding out exactly what area were there people in at that point in time and what was the area called and you know what I'm saying, and what name did you take from that so-called area. Okay, like for example, right, you got the Geechee, right? The Geechee lived on around the Ogamechee River. This is where the term Geechee came from. The term Gawler or Gullah came from the whole coast, which was from Florida through South Carolina through Georgia. Okay, this is where the term Gullah came from. So a lot of these terms and these names and these so-called tribes and etc. came from these areas which was named or deemed that. Just like right now, they call you if whatever state you live in. I live in New Jersey, so they just call me a New Jerseyan. Or you live in Maryland, they will say, "Oh, well, I'm a Maryland," or I'm something in regards to that term. So nothing really has changed. It's just the way we look at things and the way we process it nowadays, right? So, as far as people doing their genealogy, you have to have some type of record or some type of research for you to be able to solidify the fact that your people was here and for you to put on record for these people to believe it. Because nowadays you have so many immigrants that came here that look just like us who can easily claim that. So you have to have some goddamn record or you have to have some genealogy of your people being here at a certain point in time for it to be you know what I'm saying, for it to be appropriate for you to be able to claim anything, whatever your claim is or whatever your agenda is for claiming it. So me personally, I've always put that out there. You know what I'm saying? And I've always told people to put these people on notice, to make a declaration and declare who the fuck you are. And if that declaration haven't been rebutted or haven't been disputed, then guess what? It's fact in law. And most of these people they can't dispute it. Now, some of these other organizations that we have, like the Bureau of Indian Affairs and these roles and all that, a lot of that shit is fugazi shit. And a lot of that shit basically puts you right under the jurisdiction and under the control of the United States. So a lot of times people don't understand that when they're getting themselves involved in it. That makes you a what the fuck we call that? Not a $5 Indian, but damn, it's been so long, man. I'm trying to wipe the cobwebs off, man. I didn't research so much information. I just forgot it. Oh man, I can't remember the term that we was just using to basically call out a lot of these United States Indians or people who are under some of these roles and under the Bureau of Indian Affairs. The Bureau of Indian Affairs is a government ordinance. So anytime that you go to a government ordinance that is residing on the American land, then that makes you subjected to them by default. Even if you are not aware of that, you're still by default a subject of them. And I don't think a lot of these people know exactly what's really going on out here. People just talk. People see people who saying that, oh yeah, I'm in some of these tribes, and they look at this shit and be like, oh great, oh he got to be a real Indian. No, you are a real Aborigine. The sooner you do your genealogy and find out your people been here, whether or not you told anyone or whether or not you declared that, You are always that. Once you realize your people are not African and your people did not come from Africa, then you know exactly who you are from that point on. So don't never let nobody tell you that, okay, all right, was it not, you are accepted by any of these tribes. It still don't denote to you being, you still are the Aborigine, regardless of whatever. Now, like I said, it narrows down to the land, it narrows down to the name, it narrows down. There's a formality of things that pretty much going to narrow down exactly what area or what state or what territory did your people reside in. But overall, once you do your genealogy and once you can go back well beyond the 1700s, everybody can't go back that far. And I've said this many times. You don't have, everybody doesn't have records. And most of the records that I've seen doesn't go back, doesn't go back, um, doesn't go back past or before the 1700s. Now you got some people who say that they got shit from the 1500s. I don't know how, because the timeline that we on, the 1500s wasn't even the 1500s at that point in time. So I don't know if some of this shit that people be showing me is real or not. But I can tell you that you can at least go back to the 1700s. Now a lot of some people, like I said, they go back, oh, six, oh, my people had, man, show me and prove that. Show me and prove that. Don't show me no online research. Show me some actual documents of your people using these same calendar dates and the same timeline that we using. Show me some actual documentation from that time to prove that to me. Don't show me no shit that's generated on a computer, which anybody can go into any of these ancestral sites and put anything in. I can put anything in it. And I've seen this shit for myself. But as far as what you can claim or what you should be claiming or what you can claim at this point in time, yeah, it's evident that you can do that. And like I said, a lot of people went back and they claim exactly who they are. And like I said, I've always liked to reference my sister Lisa because she went back and did her research and found out who her people was, and she resurrected the so-called nation of people that that was her ancestors, and now they're recognized, and many other people can do the same. So for people who listening to this, don't fall for, oh man, the Aboriginal community, because all of these motherfuckers was in the Aboriginal community, all of them, until they started to have certain issues with certain individuals that is in this community. Then they started to pull themselves or withdraw themselves from calling themselves an Aboriginal. I don't own the term Aboriginal, or I don't own the term Matancha. You are that, whether you consider yourself to be that, or or not. You're still that. So I don't own no rights on that. I didn't create the word. You are that. Was it not? I fuck with you or I don't fuck with you. I just don't like the term Indian because a lot of the research and most of the people that I've spoken to, even some of these Native Americans, don't even like that term. They like to be called the nation or the people of that land in which they resided in. So, like I said, it's a lot of confusion. It's a lot of pseudo shit that's being thrown out here, and people just trying to separate certain individuals. And like I said, it's only a few people doing this shit. It's only a few people doing this shit. Like I said, I'm not nobody leader. I'm not running around here like, oh, yo, I'm the best. I'm the best fucking YouTuber doing this shit. No, I don't give a fuck about this shit. All I care about is just people understanding who we was, understanding that we did not come here on no motherfucking slave shit, understand we're not no motherfucking African, and then you can go from there. That's where the fork in the road may split between you and a Tanch in this one, and then you can go on your path, and everybody can go on their individual path to find out who their people were. But the thesis is the fact that black people was already here in America. That's it. Now you got some individuals who now throwing all this other, oh man, black Europeans, you came, well, you're a black European, motherfuckers putting people names in databases, sending them over to Switzerland and all these different. This shit is a goddamn joke, man. It's a fucking joke, and it's led by some people. Some of these people who doing this are not even indigenous. They're fucking mestizos. But they claiming, oh yeah, I got one indigenous ancestor, so I'm indigenous. But you speaking for the non-indigenous ancestors by you doing this fuckery. You speaking upon a colonizer's tongue for some of the shit that you doing. Yeah, you look like one of us, but at the end of the day, or you may say you have people who look like us in your in your genealogy, in the genograph or whatever. But at the end of the day, you speaking like a colonizer, or you speaking like these same people who don't want us to know who the fuck we are today. That's my mission statement. That's why I don't. That's why I haven't been doing no fucking video. Cause my work is done. My work is done. Now, whether or not I go back and show you some historical history or some historical evidence, or just to bring some of us on point to what our people was doing here, that's something totally different. But the main agenda of this whole thing for me was to get people who was falsely classed as African Americans to recognize that they was already here on this goddamn land, and ain't no European come here and bring your ass here from thousands of miles across the goddamn ocean and put you to work on some fucking plantation or whatever for them. This is the biggest lie, the biggest myth that have ever been told. And you got people out here who's trying to claim and trying to get resources or trying to sue these people for a goddamn line of myth, which these people are never going to pay you because they know that they basically fucking red herring your ass because they're telling you a fucking myth, and now they got you believing in this myth, and they know that there's no evidence to substantiate that outside of what they created and outside of them writing books and having some of their cronies enforcing this same lie. And then what they do is they get these black people who want to go to some of these institutions, and then they research the shit that white people wrote, and then they come back and spew that amongst us under boulee or under some of these Greek societies, and then we fall for the nonsense, and we think because this black person talking like he's educated and he got all these so-called numbers or names or letters behind his name, then this what makes him a real individual that we should be looking upon for our history. No, my teacher told me, right, when I was in one of them institutions, okay, and she was like, look, man, you get two educations in your life. You get the education that's dictated to you, and then you get the education that you do the research and you go back and you do the research and you put together the pros and cons or whatever, and you come up with an educational response to what you think your historical what you think your historical facts are. Okay, a lot of people don't do that. They get these articles and they get these PDFs and they get some of these books that been remixed under some of these individuals, and they use this shit as a source, and they never go back and cross reference it because part of doing research, and then like I said, I went to school to be a dietitian. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, outside of whatever else I've done, but that was my main field of study outside of going to school for culinary. But I went to school to be a dietitian, and I had to take I had to take four um, chemistry classes and three biology classes, and then I had to take a spew of fucking research classes. You know what I'm saying? So qualitative, quantitative, empirical research, you know, all of that shit. And at the end of the day, like, I took a lot of that. I took a lot of that what I learned from in them institutions, and I applied it to what I do now. And then part of understanding some of the research that goes into some of this stuff, you have to be able to cross reference, number one. Okay? You have to be able to decipher and also decode and for fucking Mason, which most people out here are not. They're just on the escalator, just going wherever these motherfuckers take them. Nigga, like, yeah, just jump on this escalator and follow me. And you're following this person, and you don't know where the end of the escalator goes, but you just know you on a fucking ride. Oh yeah, I like this guy. He's charming. Or I like or I like this individual right here. He's kind of charming, and he's very articulate. I don't listen. Like I said, I got GRE words right here that I can tap into any other time. But I gotta talk to people the way that I like to talk to people. I can switch it up when I want, but nah, not when I'm really in this mode right here. I have to just put it out there. I don't want to rehearse it. I don't want to sound like, it took me a week to fucking come out here and do this bill. I want to just put it out there before I procrastinate about putting this information out there. And the information never gets out there. Okay. No, I don't want nobody to follow me on no escalator and be like, yo, I like, A1, I like the way he word things or he articulate things or whatever. No. Follow the source of the information and you go from there and you use these researching tactics of cross referencing, deciphering, and fucking decoding. So at this point in time, you already know that this whole thing is under investigation. This whole fucking fictitious state or status that we are under is all under investigation, along with all of the history that we've been taught, along with some of these individuals that's putting the history out there, and some of the individuals where they got the history from. All of this shit is under fucking investigation. Shout out to my brother nonetheless for saying that America is a crime scene. And we are the investigators that investigate in the crime scene. So understand that. So for the individuals that's out there, because I know how this shit go, man. I know how it go, man. Some people they come here, they be in the chat room, like just while these bills are going on, and then as soon as they see somebody else bill going on, they run their ass over there and then start talking about the person that they was just over here getting. This is not entertainment to me. This is not no motherfucking entertainment. This is not fucking popularity contest. This is your fucking history. So you should be taking this shit serious. You shouldn't be playing these little kid games or like nah type of shit. You should be on this shit for real. And you should be able to you should be judging you should be critiquing some of these characters that's out here putting this information out and seeing whether or not they have your motherfucking best interest at hand, or is they just doing this shit because they bored, or is they just doing this shit because it has some type of monetary gain to it. You understand? And this is something that I don't think people understand in these days, man. Because like I said, a lot of this shit is just, who fucking pissing contest, who could piss the furthest or whatever. And like I said, for those people just came in, we got 150 people rocking with the God Ahanu. Like I said, the division among Aboriginal and I don't know what people call themselves because, like I said, I'm about to get into this shit in a minute. I'm about to show and prove. I'm gonna just give you some information that you can run with, that you can challenge and you can question some of this shit that people saying. And if you at this point in time, when the information is out here, and when someone show you something that opposed to what some of these other people showing, then they're gonna have to show you something that's gonna put me in opposition to what they're saying. Okay, so when I show you some things out here or show you some of these terms, and we clarify some of these terms or whatever, don't run back over to somebody else's platform and be like, oh yeah, well he said this, and you under like some type of spell or you fucking hypnotized by an individual. Like I said, man, You know, this is not popularity contest. This is your motherfucking history. And the faster that you learn it, and the faster that you can do your genealogy and find out who your people is, the faster you will see some type of gain. And even if it's just emotional gain, or even if it's just gain that you can show and prove people that who don't believe that you are that, and you can have this just as a record. So when people question that you are a so-called Aborigine or Indian or Native American or indigenous person or whatever, you can back that up. You can fucking back it up, man. Well, shout out to all the gods and all the goddesses. Shout out to all the Aborigines, all the Indians, all the Native Americans, all the indigenous people, all the motherfucking Tanchans as well. Shout out to all of you. Shout out. And to be honest, like I said, man, there is no separation. Let's get into this shit, man. Fuck this shit. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right. Now, this is from the Bouvier's dictionary, right? I'm going to highlight the word for you, just in case motherfuckers can't see. It says Indian, right? The Aborigines of this country are so called. Okay? Now, the Aborigines of this country. Now, let's put this into. Nah, hold on. Let me get this out of here. Let's highlight so called. The Aborigines of this country. Okay? Of this country. Now, let me see something. Because I had something else up here. Let me go down real quick. All right, now. Let me see something. Now, look. It says what? Indian tribe, right? It say a separate and distinct community of or body of Aboriginal Indian race of men found in the United States. But check this out though. Why are they using this term? Why are they using this term? Because I guess that whoever wrote this didn't have time to put down 500 motherfucking nations in one fucking sentence. So they use that as just a terminology of the indigenous or the Aborigines or the Atanchan people who was found here, no matter if they Ani Yahweh, no matter if they Powhatan, no matter if they Nassagari, no matter if they Lenni or Vranape. Okay? So they use one terminology to classify you as. So when you see this, when you see the term Aboriginal or Aborigine, you know that you belong to one of these nations. It's just not a term that's separating you from being part of a nation or separating you from being part of your tribe or anything like that. Because just like, let's say, for example, right? Let me go back. Let me see something real quick. Let's say, for example, right? We got 173 people in the chat room, right? 173 people, right? So, I can say call y'all American Indians, but why would I do that? I can call you an Aborigine, which basically denotes or puts you at a certain status according to what I'm learning or what I've been taught. Okay, now this is Aborigines or Black Indians for Dummies. Okay, this is Black Indians for Dummies. Okay, which we already know. Now, some people like to say "ab" means away, but we're not using it in that. We're not using it for that. Okay, we're not using that. Okay, you have to understand. It say Aborigine, a person, animal, or plant that have been in the country or region from the earliest time. Okay, it goes down. Now, like I said, this is beginning lessons, and it's like some people Just like they just want to see you go back and do double work. I guess they like to see you do double work. Okay. It says the first inhabitants, man. It say now even when you go here, it say possibly a tribal name. It says which means literally from the motherfucking beginning. Now, why is that? How is that so hard for anybody to understand? Why do they have to say, "Well, oh, the Aborigines"? So, what are you? Okay, if we're Aborigines. Then what community are you in? What is the community that you separated yourself and you created? And what is this fucking community called? Oh, the Indian community. Okay. Okay, the Indian community. I'm part of the Indian community too. Or is it a leader? Is it some? Is it like a fucking Do I have to pay dues to be in this fucking community? Or is there some type of initiation that I have to pass to be in the Indian community? What separates me from being an Aboriginal to be part of this indigenous or Indian fucking community? A word or a term? What separates me? Motherfucker gonna check me at the door like, yo, A1, nah, you're part of the Aboriginal community. You can't be in the Indian community. I'm gonna smack the shit out of him. Like, man, you don't get the fuck out my way. For real. Honestly, really, I really would. Honestly. Because at the end of the day, it's like I said, this shit is for the motherfucking people. This is not a fucking game. This is not entertainment. This shit is real fucking time here. People is really going back, going through these motherfucking DNA sites, giving people their DNA, spitting in the goddamn tube, and then these people are ending up in five different goddamn nations or five different countries in that continent of Africa. And these are now, and then once people do that, you lose them even further because now you trying to tell them that their grandmother or somebody said that they might have been an Indian. They looking at the white man. The white man said, "I'm the white man." Listen, the white man got scientific research, which is DNA, which showing me who I am. My grandmother was a liar, and then we losing them people even further. So this is not a motherfucking game. This is real. This is real life right here. This is not like a comic book or a fucking sitcom where people at the end they talk or whatever. They may seem like they don't like each other in the sitcom, or one person the antagonist and one person the hero, or one, you know what I'm saying, and they don't like each other in the sitcom, and then later on they back there drinking coffee or drinking tea together, asking them like, yeah, Tom, how the kids doing? No, this is not that type of shit. This is real fucking talk here. This is real talk. This is real shit here. This is not a game. It's not a game to me. Maybe some of these other people that's doing it, maybe it's a game to them. This is not a game to me. It's not no Aboriginal versus Indian type. What the fuck? Like, is this some childish shit? This is a game like ink in a bottom or fucking hopscotch or skip or some shit. I don't want to be part of that shit. So exclude me from that. And I'm just putting out here, I'm putting this shit on notice. I'm putting people on notice. The people that's listening to this and the people that's going to listen to this later on. I am not separating myself from being indigenous, if you want to use the term Native American, which I don't use that term. Because a Native American is a $25 Indian. I don't use that term. I don't use that term. Now, if you want to say, all right, indigenous or whatever, okay, okay, you want to say indigenous, all right, but me, myself, I'm an Italian. I don't care who created the term. I don't care what you say at the end of the motherfucking day. It has a definition that is straight to the fucking point, okay? Aboriginal from the beginning. And now this is shit that was done 5 years ago or 6, 7 years ago. Motherfuckers have been doing this shit. But for some reason, I guess the people who just came to this community or just found out who they were, they wasn't in those classes. They skipped them classes. I don't know, to sell drugs or to go fuck some women or to go smoke some weed or to go drink or go steal some cars. I don't know where they was at that point in time. But this information has been out here for years, and anybody else who's in this information, they already fucking understand this shit. And it should not be no separation whether or not you agree with this person or you agree with that person, or I don't like that person, so I ain't part of the aboriginal community. I'm not part of this community. Oh, it's a separation. I didn't know it was a difference. I didn't know from the term Indian, as I just fucking showed you. Back to this, I didn't know from the term Indian. The term Indians. All right, let me blow it up for some of these people, because some of these motherfuckers, they can't see. They can't see, and I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on these days, man. But anywho, Indians, the Aborigines of this country, right, are so-called. So I know some of you people in the chat room, you report to some of these motherfuckers who got issues with me, which I never had no issues with nobody. I'm not out here trying to find people who dislike me. I'm out here trying to form unity amongst the people who don't know who they are. So I know some of you people, maybe you want to go back and tell those people that A1 is going live right now. Maybe they need to come into these classrooms and understand exactly where I'm going, bro. Because I might not do another bill for shit. I might not do another bill for another year. I might not do another bill for another year. If I decide, I might do another bill tonight. I don't know. I don't know. Might do another bill tomorrow. Might not do another bill until 2025. I don't fucking know. Whenever the fucking ancestors tap me on my shoulders, let's go A1, let's go Etano. It's time for you to show the people, show and prove to the people. Then guess what? I'm there. Or once the universe tells me A1, it's time to get back in that ring or that arena and get back to doing what you was doing. Then that's when I'm gonna do it. But maybe you want to go, maybe you want to share this, or you want to tag some people and let some people know that there is this shit is in people's minds. People is creating this perception by saying, oh, there are Aborigines over there, and we're Indians, or Aborigines don't believe in you doing your genealogy, or Aborigines don't believe in you finding your tribe. Listen, that's all false tongue, and that's all pseudo shit. That's all pseudo shit. These are lies and myths that these niggas is creating so you don't rock with certain people. But guess what? You ain't got no choice but to rock with me. For the people who rocks with me. So no matter what these niggas say, you already know what it is over here. I'm not out here banging on my chest. Yeah, sometimes I gotta get cocky and go back into and show people my catalog of work, because I have to. But I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. What I would say though, this is a brief commercial. It's getting hot out there. If you want to represent exactly who you are, go to my t-shirt spring link and go cop yourself something. This is for you, if you choose to do it. So you walk around and let people know exactly who you are. Back to the scheduled program. All right. So look, the term Aborigine of this country, the Aborigines of this country are so-called, right? Now, like I said, so-called. I wonder what the fucking word so-called means. Let's see if we can find out what the word so-called means. So-called. Look. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but it's saying so-called. An adjective. Commonly called, right? Commonly called, right? Incorrectly or falsely termed, right? So named, called by such a name, but perhaps called thus with doubtful or prosperity or propriety. I'm sorry, propriety. Okay? Now, just in case anybody want to know what the term, what the definition of propriety is, let's get to that. Because And look, just so you guys.
Propriety.
So it's a conformity to what is socially acceptable in conduct or speech. Okay? So the so it say so named, called by such a name, but perhaps called with doubtful, or as they like to say,
Propriety.
okay. So it's saying conformity to what is socially acceptable. Okay? So when we go back to this term right here, we don't see no difference. They're using the aborigines of the country are so-called Indians, right? Now we go back once again, back to the term, or they like to say aboriginals, right? So, okay. First, earliest, existing from the beginning. Okay, now look, existing from the beginning. Now, like I said, this is the time right now where you tag some of these niggas who think they know everything, who want to be disagreeable, who want to disagree with facts. This is facts. What's understood don't need to be fucking explained, but unfortunately, you have to explain it every now and then, because some people just don't understand it. Okay, Aboriginal, first, earliest, existing from the beginning. Okay? Now, when we say Aboriginals, we say the so-called Indians or so-called Cherokees, Aniyawiyas, Powhatans, Pamunkey's, fucking Timucua, Seminole, Yamasi, Creek, Gullah, Gitche, etc. are first, earliest, existing from the beginning. This is why we use the term Aboriginal. Now check this out, right? We're gonna kind of go into this too, right? This is some funny shit right here, right? Check this out. The same motherfuckers who sit up here and call us Aboriginals like to go on platforms with people who use this term as an organizational construct, right? But they don't say nothing to them. This is how you know some of these niggas are not to be trusted and not sincere. Let's go here real quick. Check this out. You see this guy right here? Raymond Two Hawk Watson, right? Discusses FANA. With Turtle Gang. I wonder what do FANA means. I'm just curious. What do FANA means? Let's see if we can fucking find it. Let me go back here. Look. And just in case if you don't fucking know, now you're gonna fucking know. Okay? The Federation of Aboriginal Nations of America. So would these people be Aboriginals too? I don't know. Let me just go back to the chat room real quick. So all right, so let's go back. So FANA, which is an organization that Raymond Two Hawk Watson is in, which breaks down as a fucking acronym, which means Federation of Aboriginal Nations of America. But guess what? It gets even better here, right? Some of these niggas who like to suck up to some of these niggas, let's use a better term, don't bring this shit up to these niggas. But then us, the people that they don't like, oh, they're aboriginals, and then let's create the separation. Let's make it hard for them. You ain't gonna make it hard for A1 or a Tantra or a Tantra one. Because I don't give a fuck who like me and who don't like me. I don't care who fuck come on this platform. And I know, like I said, some of the motherfuckers that I don't know exactly who you are. But when these other live streams go on, you will be in their platforms later. Make sure that you copy and paste this fucking video and put it in the fucking chat room so all these motherfuckers can see it. And make sure, like I said, I'm not hiding, I'm not ducking, I'm not none of that shit. Because I don't have no real beef with nobody. I just want clarity. I want the games to fucking stop at this point in time. That's the whole purpose of why y'all bought me out of my mouth. I was chilling somewhere. I was somewhere just chilling a little while ago. I was somewhere chilling, and the ancestor said, "Oh, my dude, it's time to to go do a build," and I had to stop what I was doing. I had to stop what I was doing and come up here and show and prove once again. Just to get a lot of this craziness and a lot of these false tongues and a lot of this pseudo shit that motherfuckers be saying and don't nobody properly check them. I don't care, motherfuckers. I'm not out here hiding the fact I've been to state prison before. But guess what? Like I say, to show and prove people that I'm a different or I'm a changed individual, right? I also got 3 college degrees, 501c3, which is, like I said, this is contracting with these people too, which can be questioned. And also maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 businesses on the side. I'm not out here selling drugs. I'm not out here selling no Percocets, no fucking Mollies, or no Rocketsets, or no Oxycodons. I'm not out here selling my poison, my people, no psychedelic or psycho active chemical that's going to stop them from learning or stop them from being able to process this information. I'm not out here bucking or shooting at no other aborigines. I'm not out here trying to get in any squabbles with any of these aboriginals or some of these Indians who renounce their tribal rule or can't reclaim their tribal rule because they have no idea that they belong to a tribe. I'm not here doing none of that. I'm not out here calling none of these women bitches neither. Every now and then I might slip up if somebody get me pissed off, or I might, go back into my lower nature. But I try to stay within my higher self, and I try to project all higher self thoughts. But every now and then, sometimes you go back into your nigga tactics, and sometimes you be like, you might ask the universe or you might ask your ancestors to forgive you for some of the stuff you've done. But as an overall thing, I'm not out here creating none of this chaos. I'm not out here creating no conflict. I'm not out here lying to nobody. I'm not out here telling nobody who they not. I'm not out here trying to cause a separation from people who may can learn from this channel over here, or may can learn from that channel, or telling people, yo, don't go over there on that channel, man. Oh, you fuck with me or you fuck with him. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if you can go to the fucking pond and go get a motherfucking frog, and a frog can sit up here and do builds, and a frog can do a PowerPoint presentation, and a frog can wear motherfucking a feather crown or turban or just a feather, and he can tell you this information, then I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not out here for that. I'm not out here to cause a separation. I'm not out here to be challenging motherfuckers. My information is my information. Even though people challenge my information and say little funny things about me, I can care fucking less, man. I can care less. I'm making over 6 figures a year. And like I said, it ain't even about that. It's about what you doing with it. Niggas don't own no silver. Niggas don't own no gold. Niggas don't own no palladium. I mean, well, palladium is some different shit or whatever. That's another high standard of gold. But niggas ain't even telling you to go do this type of shit. Niggas come in here with shit like, oh my God, I don't know, man. But back to what I was saying, right? So we're Aboriginal. So is Raymond Watson or Tuhawk, is he Aboriginal? Because obviously he's part of the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of the Amaru, which is FANA, Federation of Aboriginal Nations of America. You can't make this shit up, man. You just can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up, man. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Yo, you can't make this shit up, y'all. This shit is beyond funny, right? This shit beyond funny. And but hold up, we're not even done. This shit gets better. This shit gets better. It gets better than this. It gets better. Just wait. Now, we just went over this right here, right? Indians in the law book, right? Indians. Now check this out. Check out how these motherfuckers break shit down. In general, Indians have no political rights in the United States. They cannot vote at the general election for office, for officers, nor hold office. Now, according to them. According to them. But guess what? If you was in your proper person, you wouldn't have to do none of that because the United Snakes or the United States of is on American territory. And it says what? The Aborigines of this country. What country would that be? Let's see. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see what country would that be. The Aborigines of the Americas, right? It says first, earliest, or existing from the beginning. So if you are the people who was earliest or existing from the beginning, then the corporation which is called the BBBB would be on your land, right? So you wouldn't have to participate in none of their fucking social gatherings or political gatherings. Only thing you have to show up and say, "Where's my bag?" And then you can be escorted. If you want to ride a fucking horse, a camel, you want to get on a scooter, as long as you get that bag from them. You can put the bag on your you can make the bag out of a fucking hemp or a fucking potato sack. And you can jump on a scooter. You might want to ride in style. You might have a DB11 outside. You might have an AMG GT outside. You might want to ride it up. You might have a TRX motherfucking Ram truck outside. Or you might have one of these scooters that you put the chip in. You might just say, you might walk up to them at their political gathering and say, "Oh, yo, you got that bag for me?" You do know that we are the first and earliest from the beginning. And understand this, right? It say the original inhabitants and Atanchan, right? Which means that your ass was here from, like I said, these are ancient lessons that motherfuckers should have been part of. But like I said, niggas is out there hustling at this point in time. Niggas is in strip clubs. Niggas is in strip clubs and shit while these lessons was going down, man. And like I said, I'm sorry if some individuals wasn't here at the point in time when these lessons was going on. But these are old. This shit is old at this point in time, man. Shit is old. And I know some of the people in the chat room probably bored, like, man, oh man, we already know this, man. God damn. But like I said, tag somebody and go tell somebody that A1 is doing this shit and A1 is trying to clear up this whole Aborigine versus everybody, whether it's Native Americans, Black Indians, indigenous people, or this person or that person or this person and that person. And like I said, A1 tells you, oh, if you part of a nation, yeah, of course you need to solidify and get that on some type of documentation for you to do your declaration so you can forward to these people and kindly kindly telling people, yo, guess who's back? Oh, yeah, we know you classify me as an African American, but guess what? I was doing some of my family research, and they say we are fucking Indians. How about that? And they be sitting up in there looking at you like, oh, these motherfuckers know. Yes, yes, yes. So you know that land that you said was abandoned over there that my people used to own? We're here to take that back. We're here to take that back. We're here to take that back. Yeah. Oh, you got oil rigs on it? Okay. Okay, all right. Well, what you can do is you can give us a percentage of that income that's coming in monthly or daily. We want more like 70 to 80% of it. And y'all can do whatever y'all want to do with the 20%. Y'all can fight and shoot each other up and try to kill each other off for that 20%, but we want our 80% of it because 80% of it is ours. It means on our land. And I'm being generous by saying you can have 20%. This is real fucking talk here. And then, like I said, these niggas ain't having these conversations that A1 then separated itself from. They're not having these conversations, man. They're talking about having some type of powwow and having some type of gathering and shit, right? They talking about having some powwow and some type of gathering. Nah, nigga, we gonna be chilling. I mean, we should be somewhere chilling. Like I said, niggas should be all pulling up in DB11s. And if that's what you want, maybe you might want a fucking horse. I don't know. If you want the horse, make sure your horse got a golden motherfucking saddle on it and golden fucking horseshoes on it, man. Fuck it, you can even get your horse gold teeth if you want, man. How about that? But stop the bullshit, man. Stop the fucking bullshit, because this shit is a pony and fucking whatever show, dog and pony show at this point in time. Shout out to everybody in the chat. You're going to pay what you. Oh yeah, right, Hawk School. Exactly. Exactly. And this is see, when you had these other Indians up there, they're not having these conversations. They're not talking about this type of shit. They're not talking about. They don't have a look. They don't have a end game. Or they not sitting up in there like saying they not sitting up in there counting. You know how you sit up in there, somebody got to give you money and you already saying what you gonna do with the shit before you get it. They not sitting up in there strategizing on what they gonna do with that bread or with that with that shit that's owed to you, what they gonna do with it. Maybe you might want to go buy a city. Or maybe you might want to go buy a community where you can put fucking condos, or maybe you want to have a whole Airbnb community. I don't know what you want to do with it. Maybe you want to start a fucking have a farm the size of fucking New Jersey, and then just you have your own produce that's out there in the market. You can find some way to barter and find some way to have infinite resources that where it's going to be generational wealth for your so-called nation or your so-called tribe. I don't know. I don't know what you want to do at the end of the day. You say you're getting a horse with gold. Hey, man, hey. I ain't mad at you, Money Grip. So let's go into something else real quick. I just want to show y'all something. I want to show you how these motherfuckers is sitting up here and challenging this term Indian, right? I don't think it's this frame. Sure. Oh, all right. This one pretty much say the same thing, right? The origin of the word Indian for describing Native American. Now, see, look, the Native Americans are smart enough to sit here and challenge it. Once they find out, okay, they didn't have to find out they was in there. We was the ones that had to go back and use these frivolous terms that they created to describe us in this landmass or whatever, and we gotta sit there and argue or ponder and say, "Oh, we this or we that," and this some shit that they all created. Instead of just saying like, even if you do, you say it like I said, I'm a tanchan, which goes back to what? What does the term a tanchan clearly tells you? One sprung from the soil he or she inhabits. Okay? He or she inhabits. Okay? You see what it says? Earth, right? It says earth right here, but nah, we talking about the Amaru or America. That's what we talking about. Okay? That's what we talking about. So I sprung from the soil. The minerals in this land is what created my physical composition. And to the individual, as you know, was A1. And the many of the individuals or the 200 or so more individuals that's in the chat room who consider themselves to be an Atanchan, but still can be a Aniyawiya, can still could be a Powhatan. They're not trying to create no mental compartment. They're not trying to compartmentalize a fucking word to separate them from their fucking nation. And they're not that naive or that fucking egotistical to try to sit up there and say because this joker used the term Atanchan, then he doesn't resonate with his tribe, or he doesn't fuck with his tribe, or he's just an Atanchan. Nah, this is the fugazi and pseudo shit that people is out here putting, man. And people is following this nonsense just to be part and procel to some type of nigga or real Indians of whatever sitcom and shit. Because I mean, at this point in time, there's so many different people who got so many different individual beefs and shit. It could be a real Indians of fucking Florida, real Indians of South Carolina, real Indians of New Jersey. It could be a bunch of these so-called issues that people got with one another, my dude. But understand that whether you are a Powhatan, whether you are Pamunkey, whether you are Nasigari, whether you are Mahata, whether you are Lenni Lenape, whether you are Algonquin, whether you are Iroquois, whether you are Yamasi, whether you are Muskoki, whether you are Chiaki or Aniyawiya or Alibamu or whatever. Just know that you are one sprung from the soil he or she inhabits, and there's a term called a tanchan to go under that. Or you are the first inhabitants. And like I said, some other people, like they kind of go into some of the European history or historical work, and they would sit there and tell you that, their people came from Siberia and all this shit. Like, ain't nobody walking that fucking far. Ain't nobody walking from no goddamn Siberia all the way to fucking New Jersey. That shit is not. It's not like I can't sit there and think of that. Like somebody motherfucker walked over 100-year time or 1,000-year time frame. Motherfuckers moved all the way from Siberia all the way to New Jersey. Nah, I can't go with that, man. And if somebody else goes to that, they need to reevaluate their research and just see how stupid or idiotic that sounds. That sounds just as idiotic as somebody telling you they brought you here on the motherfucking bottom of a boat with people pissing, shitting, defecating, people having their menstrual cycles, which creating this whole new biomatter or bio engineered chemical that will kill everybody on the fucking boat, even the people who not even down there with them. That shit will create some type of gas that will seep through the cracks of the wood and kill a motherfucking captain with the people on the boat and everybody. And that boat would just go down. That's how idiotic a lot of this shit that I hear sound. And when you sit there and you think about like, yeah, that do sound kind of crazy. A white man going to a land, never been to this land, and he's able to go and buy some people from the so-called chief there, and then bring them back all the way over all across the Atlantic Ocean. But it gets better because they telling you that it's a certain tide that comes through the Atlantic Ocean. That's a smooth ride. that you're gonna miss all of these 100 foot, 1,000 foot fucking waves and all this. You got it's a certain it's a certain flow of water that flows right from Africa all the way into the shores of America. And you're gonna miss all of these waves and all of the dangerous shit that goes on in the Atlantic Ocean, and you're just gonna have such a fucking smooth ride. Come on, people. Come on, people. For real, man. Like I said, man, for real, let's stop this shit. Stop. 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 It said that the Indian begun as a white man mistake and became a white man fantasy, right? Through the prism of white hope, fears, and prejudice, indigenous American would be seen to have lost contact with reality and to have become Indians. Oh, y'all motherfuckers gonna hate me today, man. This shit gets better, man. It gets better. Let me see something. No, it's this one right here. It was this one. This is what I was trying. This is what I've been trying to tell people for the last 3 or 4 years. All right, it's in this one right here. Let me see. It says no. NDO of God and Los Nino, the children. In the Latin tongue of the day, the expression "children of God" is freely translated as in the feminine form "la ninas" de la Indio, and the masculine form "los ninos de la Indio," children of God, a term later corrupted by the aberrant Spanish tongue as "los ninos de la Indio," then ultimately reaching contemporary ears as Indio, then India, and then Indian. Now, like I said, this shit may not be, this shit, we might can't prove this shit, but it's worth researching. It's worth fucking researching, man. It's worth fucking researching. But however you look at it, whether you believe this shit or not, we can show you that the motherfucking term itself, hold up for a second. We can show you the term itself, whether you believe in me, Los Indio, children of God, but it all say the aborigines of this country, which is the Amaru, are so called. Okay? Are so called. Alright? Then it also says it in the word Indian tribe. A separate or distant community or body of aboriginal Indian race of men found, with which men and women, all right? So I don't want to be, massaging this shit. Of men and women found in the so-called, now they say United States, but they just using this landmass. Remember, our America is north, south, central, and the conjoining islands, okay? All right. So, I mean, look, man, I'm going to put together a fucking super heavyweight, off the motherfucking top turnbuckle, elbow in the face build. I don't know. Pretty soon. Okay. And just for the people who rock with certain individuals who don't question them, but like to cause confusion among brothers and sisters who trying to really wake their people up. And like I said, no offense to the brother Turtle Gang. I learned a lot. I don't really have nothing personal against the brother Turtle Gang. I don't agree with everything he say, just like I don't agree with everything my father say. I don't agree with everything my brother say. I don't agree with everything that anyone fucking says. But can we agree upon some things? Yes, we can. The same thing with the dude, Raymond Tuhal. Okay, don't agree with everything he say neither. Absolutely don't agree with that primitive shit that he's promoting to people. Don't agree with none of that shit. I don't agree with none of that shit. But it's some things that I can agree with. And like I said, and the things that we agree on is probably it's probably at a higher percentage than the things that we disagree on. So that right there has to equal that we can be at we can be on a, we could be on a neutral playing field at that point in time. Okay? And that goes with a lot of other brothers and sisters that's in this community that's teaching shit. The only time I disagree with them is when they got issues with me. Other than that, I agree with a lot of shit that people say because, like I said, if it's relevant, then it's relevant to the people. It's relevant to our advancement of the so-called people who was formerly known as Choctaw, Cherokee, um, Powhatan, Pamunkey, etc., and formerly, and known as present day as African American. So if you are basically pushing against that status and showing people that we was here and that no, we did not come here from Africa, and that's another thing. Let's go into this Africa thing real quick, right? Now, check this out, right? Check this out, right? How many people we got in the chat room? We got 200 and, well, people dropping out left and right. We got 239 people rocking with the God of Hano, right? Now, out of the 239 people, or maybe the 5 or 6 that might join in a few minutes or a few seconds, right? How many of y'all was formerly known as African Americans, right? And how many of y'all believe that pathetic ass story that you came here across the Atlantic Ocean and your people was put on a plantation with a plant, which black people had plantations. A plantation is not a derogatory term. It's a term where you using it as a means for resources to provide for a community or for a family or for a fucking city or a town or etc. But some people have this relation to thinking that the term plantation means that a slave was on there getting his ass beat with a goddamn whoop with working in the hot field. Guess what? We all our ancestors worked in the hot field to feed so mama can have some motherfucking beans to go with that fried chicken or some motherfucking squash or whatever produce that was out there or some mustard greens or some greens. All of our black acid or brown acid or copper color acid was out there in that hot ass fucking field because that was one of the motherfucking jobs that we had. What else you gonna get? Oh, and then, like I said, in some cases, which many cases, them Slavic people was out there doing it for us, and it wasn't by you. It wasn't the Slavic people had to. Like I said, I'm doing a bill, and if you see somebody take the title right on the orientation of slavery, okay, the orientation of motherfucking slavery, when these Slavs first came to this goddamn landmass, we had to tell them, look, man, there won't be no sitting around here. This is what we do every day. We go out in this field. We plant, we plant, we plant, we plant, we plant. We pick from stuff that grown, and we produce and we process stuff according to the things that we need to be sufficient or to be able to inhabit this so-called landmass or walk upon this so-called plane or earth. Okay, so whether or not that might be going to get them eggs from them hens or them chickens, or going over there milking that cow, or going over there taking your ass out there picking that cotton, the European had to do the same thing because the European had to get fucking food and board in order to stay here because they could not own no goddamn land here. That's what the Civil War was all fucking about land rights because they could not own no goddamn land here because of the Great Law of fucking Peace. And some niggas just sit there and argue that too. Like that's why I say like I don't fuck with niggas like that because niggas is just like they so disagreeable and their information is like a straight line. They don't do no. They don't go down in the ditches and come back up. Their information is a straight line. Google research something or something that's passed off. They don't do no real deep research. So a lot of this shit is just surface level research that anybody can fucking find or whatever. Or I don't know. But at the end of the day, the Great Lord Peace wasn't, we believe, the Iroquois and Algonquin was only in the so-called um northeast or the northern hemisphere. That's all bullshit. We all had a connection or pipeline that was from all the way to Canada through the Mississippi and all the way through Central America and back up through Florida or the land of flowers. Or like I said, Florida went all the way from Texas all the way to motherfucking Pensacola or the tip of what we call Florida and all the way out through the conjoining islands as well. We had a trade line here of people which we transferred goods from certain areas to certain areas. So a lot of people don't have this knowledge because, like I said, in some of these classes that was being taught out here, they was cutting school. They was running around here trying to sell drugs. They was running around here smoking weed instead of being in fucking class when these lessons was being learned. And then some of them know these lessons but don't want to sit there and say that they was being taught by somebody who they constantly banging on or people that they banging on today. So with that being said, like I said, man, shout out to all the real ones. Shout out to the day ones, the A ones from day ones. Shout out to all the Aborigines, North, South, Central, as well as the conjoining islands, man. And all the people who know who they are and understand that an Aboriginal is no different from a black Indian or a so-called Aniyawiya or a so-called Alabamu or a so-called Creek, Muskogee, etc. Aborigine is all of them. All of them are Aborigines. Okay? All of them are Aborigines. So with that being said, shout out to all my peoples, man. It's been a pleasure, man, coming back on here again just to do a build. And like I said, tell somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who know these people. Share and build. Share this build if you would like to. Yes, Carl. Hold up. What was the brother name? Carl Caldwell. You are Muskogee Creek Nation. But guess what? You are also Aborigines of this land. You are an Atanchan of this land. Understand that. You are one sprung from the fucking soil. Don't let these motherfuckers tell you, according to their history lessons, that some people came from fucking the Bering Straits and walked all the way to fucking Florida or South Carolina and shit like that. Like I said, what motherfucker had Tim's back then? A nigga had Vasquez fucking what's the name? What the shit's called? Gore-Tex boots or fucking ACGs or the 40 below boots and shit. They walked all the way across Alaska, all the way into New Jersey, or all the way to South Carolina. It doesn't make no goddamn sense. And my mind is always going to challenge that fucking theory. So peace to the gods, man. Peace to the goddesses, man. And like I said, understand there's no separation from being an Aborigine and being part of any of these so-called nations. No one ever told anybody not to go get into some of these nations or find out who your people was or find out what part of your what tribe or what so-called, because now they got the clans or anything of that sort. Okay. And like I said, one thing else I would like to say, the Moors also started, and I'm not saying because you got understand the people who speaking in this community through speaking about a lot of this stuff. You have individuals who come on who may have grew up in some type of tribal affiliation, or may have people who might have told them that they were so-called Indians or whatever. But my question is to a lot of them people who say that, were were you ever did you ever think that you was an African American, or what story did you gravitate toward? because I don't know, did everybody say now? Now all of a sudden it's common for everybody to say, yeah, man, my grandma said we from here. But how much understanding did you understand? How much did you understand exactly what she said? Did you understand it to the point to where you was out here wearing red, black, and green, and South Africa, or did you understand and know that you wasn't an African from day one? And it's not a lot of people who knew that they wasn't an African from day one. I don't give a fuck what motherfuckers tell me. A lot of people that's here came through the Pan African community, or even if they didn't come through the Pan African community, they believe some of these African American stories. And then you got some people who people may never have told them that they was African and always roll with that. So we have a large community of people among them guidelines, who some of them came from Pan African, some of them thought they was African American, and some of them never believed that shit from day one, and had ancestors or people, their grandmother or their big mama, that told them, "Nah, I ain't no goddamn African." But I understood that. But guess what? Through society, society constantly pounding this shit in your head, you basically submitted. And then at some point in time, you thought that you may have came from Africa. You may have spit in a tube at some point in time. And it's let some of these other niggas said they may have had an African grandmother. I don't know. But if that's your story, that's your story. But just know that because of individuals like me and other individuals like some Moors, so never throw out the fact that the Moors probably did not teach everybody this shit. But there's a large majority of people who learned this shit from Moors, and who just don't really want to raise their hand because it's not popular amongst some of these motherfucking Indians to say that. But guess what? They one raised his hand and said, I learned from Moors. Because they was the first motherfuckers that told me, yeah, my grandmother said we was an Indian, but I didn't understand that shit. I didn't understand it until I went through the Pan African community or whatever. I went through all of that shit, and then I found some Moors that was saying, nah, nigga, we home. The fuck you talking about? We from Africa? Nah, we home, nigga. We are from the. What you mean? We from the America? I just went through this lecture right here, and these niggas been talking about the pyramids and Egypt and all that. My dude, we got pyramids right here in New York, and I'm like, what? I wanted to go back and get my motherfucking money back. I wanted to go get a fucking refund. And this is back in like 2008, like 2008, 2007. And it took me all the way from that time into 2015 when I did my first video for me to be able to really understand. So it took me years before I even opened my mouth. I sat back being a student. I listened to Kerry Davis. I listened to the brother Travis Sanders. I listened to 432 Drop, whatever. That's my man. Like I said, I listened to Lex Will. I listened to Asir the Duke of Tears, Jaffa Bey, Taj Tariq Bey, even Sabir Bey, Aline Bey, which was out here saying that he was a wild part of descendants of the Yamasi and Washita back in fucking 2010. But niggas wasn't listening to that type of shit. So, like I said, man, humble people need to humble themselves and keep it real with themselves, because a lot of these niggas, if you wasn't out here, if at some point in time, if you started doing this shit at a certain point in time, meaning that you had to learn this shit from somebody, don't tell me you've been living this shit your whole life or whatever, because it doesn't, the track record doesn't show that. And humble yourself and say, yes, I've learned. I've definitely learned from some of these individuals. I can humbly say that. African Americans ain't African. Fucking Kerry Davis. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, I'm not like I don't have no problem with, because these people are the people who helped me, who reprogrammed me and got me understanding exactly where I need to be at this point in time. But guess what? It just wasn't no one person. It was a conglomerate. It was a conglomerate of people to where I had to kind of get this shit from my understanding, from a civics understanding, from a so-called nation understanding, from a historical understanding, etc. It was a combination that basically built this machine in which I turned myself to autonomous one. It wasn't just one individual. It was a group of individuals that I had to go and I had to sit at the feet of these individuals with a fucking notepad and then take the notes that I've got from them because maybe they didn't really truly elaborate fully on a lot of this information. And I had to take that information and then do my own research from it. Which I had to go down a motherfucking rabbit hole and spend days down there with the goddamn rabbit. Days down there with the rabbit. Had to send the rabbit to the store a couple of times. But at the end of the fucking day, like I said, man, humble people need to humble themselves. There is no motherfucking disconnection. The so-called black Indians, indigenous people are aboriginals. Don't let nobody tell you that. Like I said, no matter if you Choctaw or you motherfucking Pamunkey or you any of these fucking tribes, you are deemed to be an aborigine. So don't let none of these people tell you no motherfucking different. A lot of motherfuckers are liars and they just like to create this separatism. And like I said, I just want peace, man. I'm not gonna get along with everybody. But at the end of the day, just like I said, man, just to smooth things over and let people come to an understanding of exactly what it is. Like I said, find out what nation your people belong to. And then, like I said, you have to consult with some individuals who can help you get your status and get your paper because you're going to need paperwork. Everybody got paperwork on them now. You got all types of identification in your wallet. You got cards, birth certificates. So if you think that you ain't going to have to either rip that shit up and then and put out a declaration out there so these people will know exactly who you are so they don't get snatch your ass up and deport your ass, drop your ass off in Honduras in the middle of the fucking night or drop your ass off over in fucking Africa somewhere or someplace where you never motherfucking been at, you're gonna need a motherfucker. You're gonna need some documentation or a declaration or some type of proof on exactly who you were until the time comes to where they know that you are among your people and they can just pull up or whatever. They know exactly who these people are in this territory. If it ever get back to that. If it ever get back to that. Because you got Indians living in condos, you got Indians living in townhouses, you got Indians living in mansions, you got Indians living in brownstones, projects, whatever. You got Indians living everywhere. So unless all of these Indians give up that living and say, you know what, we're gonna build a community for ourselves to where we can live amongst each other or whatever, that will be the day. But until that day come, you still gotta get your ass up to go to work because this motherfucking rent up here in the north is higher than a motherfucker. And it's no unless you really gonna set up a TP up under one of these motherfucking these fucking highways. Hold on for a second, people. Let me get some water, man. I'm gonna go a few minutes, a few more minutes. Hold on one second. Like I said, unless you would like to, you know, I was saying about how high the price of living is, and for people who don't got land or whatever, like you still got to get up unless you do got your own business and you do have some type of way of producing some resources for yourself. You still got to get up, and you may have to go into one of these jobs, or you may have to go in there. But at the minimum, at least put your status out there. If you do got a social security card, go back through the SS4 form. Go put that you are American Indian on there. Go try to go get you a W-4T termination. Along, take that with the take that with the IRS form stating that taxes are voluntary. Give that to your motherfucking payroll. I mean, there's other steps than that, but if you like to know, email me at chiefautochthon@aol.com, and I can walk you through it, and I can show you exactly what I've done to basically eliminate taxes on my behalf or whatever. But at the minimum, that you should be trying to do that. If you are part of a tribe and none of these tribes are accepting you, you gather together your information and you put that shit on documentation. You go get that shit notarized, apostille, and you make a declaration in the form of an affidavit, and you start shipping that shit out. You start mailing it priority mail to these people, making sure that they sign for it so you can keep the receipt. And if these people don't rebut it, then that is your fucking status from there until some of these tribes allow you to be part and pro-sell into them. I'm just telling people, man, because I'm saying, like, from a lot of information that I get, all unless you and your family, the people who was living in these areas, go back and claim exactly who they are, it's going to be very difficult because a lot of us, we have either two or three different fucking tribes. You got people in your family from Virginia, people in your family from the Carolinas, people in your family from Louisiana. Now you don't know how many different nations you have in your blood, in your family. So you will have to claim something, which a lot of people already notice, man. I'm O negative, money grip. I'm O negative. I can give blood to everyone, but I can't accept blood from no one, except another O negative or O positive individual. See, these are the conversations that a lot of these motherfuckers ain't gonna have. And like I said, matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna put the link, man. Anybody want to come in and talk for a while, man? We can keep this going for a little longer, man. I see a lot of the homies in here. I'm gonna copy it. I don't know if you could click it. I'll put it in here. Anybody want to come on and talk, man? Hey, man, come on in. I believe that's the link right there. Just tell me if that's not the link. So anybody want to come in and get a spill and elaborate further on the content that's being presented right now, you're more than welcome. But yeah, I mean, there's no separation from none of these so-called ideologies that's out here. Maybe a lot of this information I don't agree with, but guess what? I'm not willing to combat or willing to like make some type of fucking 5 hour series trying to disprove somebody neither. So at the end of the day, man, like I said, I let people say what they say. As long as we all saying that we indigenous to this land, then that's what it is, man. Peace to the brother, man.
Peace, peace, bro.
Peace, peace, peace to the God, nonetheless, man.
Peace, peace, God. What's going on with you, man? Hey, you know what I'm saying? We've been on here. Yo, it sound like you never left, man.
Man, sometime, man, like I told you, the ancestors say, man, look, man, I was chilling, man. I was out there with my motherfucking Saboteur, my I was out there, man. I was out there doing it, man, and shit. I was on AP platform earlier, and I was chilling, man. I was chilling the motherfucking F1, riding, chilling and shit. And something just told me, man, look, man, let's get back to work. You know what I'm saying, for a minute, man. So just to create or clear up a lot of this confusion that a lot of people put out here, man. And like this separatism, because that's the reason why we never really gonna get nowhere, because there's too many people who out here doing this shit for entertainment purposes, who not telling the people exactly what the real stories are, man.
Yeah, that's a fact, bro.
Right, right, right.
They
I
not.
want
T-
to.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can go ahead. Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead. I'm
This is
gonna
my
mute my mic.
first time being on anything like this, so I just want to introduce
Oh,
myself.
we got Rod Hayes up in here.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is my
okay,
first
peace.
time, man. How everybody doing today?
Shout out to the guy Rod Hayes. Shout out to the goddess Sister Bethy. What's up?
Hey, everyone. I just hopped on for a hot minute because I'm working on my presentation for tomorrow. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming out. I wish you would keep coming out here. They need you. We need you out here. We at war. And I know you went in retirement, but bruh, just like Tony Montana says, they got to bring you back in. So I just hope you come back out and end this damn war for real.
We got enough brothers and sisters out here doing the work.
I
Um,
understand, I understand, but no, it's never enough. It's never enough of us.
no doubt.
Well, I want to piggyback on what the sister said.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
All right, peace, respect.
I want to piggyback on what the sister said. Everybody got a role to play in the war, and I'm listening to you, bro. You the only one that's like basically you not buying the bullshit, and you telling it like it is. We was already here. We didn't come on ships. It was people that came on ships at varying different times. What a lot of us on this side of the water don't know, we was doing trade with Western Africa on the Atlantic side for thousands of years before 1492. We was doing trade with Asia on the Pacific side for thousands of years before 1492. All of a sudden, Columbus claimed, and we savage idiots that live in the jungle and don't know our asshole from our appetite, right? And now we supposed to just submit to what the enemy told us when it's clear to see that none of the stuff, their religions wasn't here before 1492, wasn't no Muslims, Christians, or Jews on this land. We was already at high culture and civilization. We got castles all over the land that marked our presence going back thousands of years, including the mound builders built the mounds. Those are things you can't erase, right? They went in and they demolished whole cities with TNT and dynamite, right? So we've been here. We not new here,
GG.
Hey, real
and I
quick, hey,
appreciate
brother
you.
Rod Hayes. Yo,
Yes, sir.
I've been checking you out for a while now, and like I said, man, a lot of information you got, man, is some heavyweight shit, man. And like I heard you even talking about the American welfare, and a lot of these people don't. They see when they look at us as being Indians, they look at it from the Native American you know what I'm saying, lens. They don't know that we had science, we had astronomy, cosmology, and geometry here, meaning that we were builders. We, like I said, even these fucking inventions. We got a book called the American Indian Encyclopedia, 15 years of inventions that so improved that we had hotels for motherfuckers that pulled up on these shores or came down some of these rivers. We had hotels set up for people who was doing trade. And it's like, a lot of us, we don't understand that because people is not digging, they not doing research, they looking at this shit from a surface level or whatever they can find to add to this, and they not digging deep enough to really find out our fucking history. And this shit makes us look crazy out here, or make us look like some hunter gatherers. We had a system that was way bigger than hunter gathering. We had Tia Notes of land. We had what's the shit in Louisiana, Poverty Point. We had all of these trading, and we had more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Facts.
think of it
That's
like
all
this, right?
facts.
We created the goddamn refrigerator. You think some white man went to somebody and told him, "Yo, man, I need you to create this shit for me. I don't know what it's gonna do, but just create it for me."
And then all we got
Did
to do is look at this. Look at this. We used to sell ice. Think about that. We used to sell ice before the refrigerator was built. Where the fuck we get the ice from? Ain't no
Talk,
refrigerators, but we sell ice. Where in the fuck is the ice coming from?
talk
How
about
is
it.
we freezing this shit in the middle of July and August? Don't
Mm-hmm.
nobody want to talk about that.
Yup.
Cause then we forced to be faced with the fact that we was never savages. We was in the middle of warfare. We've been an occupied territory since 1492. When the conquistadors came, they said they was looking for the city of gold called Cordoba. That's not a secret. It's right
Yup.
there in the open. Anything you study, they went on a murderous rampage through the northern portion of South America, the islands, and the southern portion of the United States. But they got their huckleberry when they ran into the land of flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Now they not telling the people, y'all can look, can traverse the land of flowers called Florida, and you're gonna see that there is large numbers of trees that's sticking out of the swamp. Them trees used to touch the sky. We
Yup.
used to live in the tops of them trees and on the bottom of, and we never had problems getting ate by alligators. But when they tried to navigate those roots, they were slipping into the water, getting ate by alligators at the bottom, and we was tearing their ass up from the top, right? But they don't want our people to know that we ain't never submitted. They brought $5 Indians over here with them as indentures and servants, and they wrote the contracts and signed the contract with Dawes Roads, $5 Indians. None of those treaties have been honored because they wasn't with us.
Mm-hmm.
Find a
Facts.
treaty that they ever honored. If you can find one treaty they ever honored, y'all can get rid of me easy.
Yup.
They never honored a treaty because we never signed treaties with them. We never agreed with them occupying our land. They just had a way of killing us that kept the ones of us that knew from telling the rest of the clans what was going on. They murdered the big mamas, the chiefs, and they would murder the priests and the priestesses. So now all we got is rank and file braves, and we don't got no chiefs no more. They murdered them all. We think that they was just indiscriminately lynching us. Everybody they lynched was somebody that could overthrow their structure. It was all strategic. It was all military. This whole operation called the United States is a military operation. They replayed it so you could see it in modern times in the Middle East with Mohammed Karzai and an interim government in the Middle East. It can be looked up easy. They did the same thing. And I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate that one of us can see what I'm talking about clearly because a lot of us have been trapped in the sciences because we don't know what the sciences is for.
Bro, I appreciate you, man. Definitely, man, for the fight that you doing, man. Because even when you say about these jobs and shit, now we know we got people out here that's going to try to have that got to kind of provide for their family. But in the grand scheme of things, the only way this system ever going to stop if people stop producing these resources and stop going to motherfucking work. And it's sad to say, but a lot of people, our biggest challenge is going to be with our people because a lot of our
Did you
people is
let
not going to
Sassy
be.
back in?
A lot of our people is not going to submit to this shit, man. A lot of our people are comfortable with these conditions. We don't know how to farm. We don't know how
Right.
to produce or what I'm saying, preserve certain resources that's essential to our living conditions here on this planet. So what I'm saying, and like I said, that's straightforward, man. Because a lot of that's giving it to them raw because a lot of people just don't understand that shit. And even when you go back, even in the story of Inky and Lil, like you were saying, I got kind of a different spin from that because I did some research, like even in Peru, right? And Peru was called Kugaki, and the Sumerians are deemed sometimes as like the Anunnaki, or like they are kind of thrown in that story of Inky and Lil as well. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about that is the Sumerians worship a goddess called Amaru. The same thing I found in Lemuria. The Lemurians worship a god called Amaru. Now this shit can't be that common. You know what I'm saying? Somebody mute their mic. I don't know who shit. I don't know who shit that. That's nonetheless. So like according, and then when you look in Zachariah Stitson, in his works, which you know some people challenge that, right? He even tell you that Dolph left from South America to go build the pyramids in Egypt. And these
That's
niggas
written.
don't understand that shit. They don't understand. They don't understand how deep this shit go. That's
That's
why I
written
just
in
said,
the.
go
That's
ahead, go ahead,
written
brother.
in the
And thought
Emerald
is
Tablets.
Enoch.
Is saying
Thought
that.
is Enoch.
Yeah, but he also nigga Zada and also Quetzalcoatl.
Right. They just keep naming people and giving them different names so you get all confused in the whole illusion.
Yes,
Be the
yes.
same person.
So they say that Inky and Lil, they created the homunculus man. The homunc. Now check this out. Now, um, he did a bill like 2 years ago, right? Where he was saying in the monkey temple in what's the name Central America, he was saying that this is where they so called created the Europeans. Now I don't, like I said, I can't prove this, but I can kind of do some research to kind of like to sum it up a little bit, or for me to be able to create a hypothesis, for me to be able to come up with a theory. Now my theory might not be right, but I have to go with the research that I got. You understand?
Got
And like
got
like I said, Zachariah Stitchen said that Inky and the Lil came here and they created the homunculus man. When you look up the term homunculus say primate or primate people. And it's like, yo, it's a lot of information out there according to what was done on this continent, and as far as our existence here and who we are and who we not. I know, like I said we the gods because our science exceeds the America. Can't no slave who never been to school, who don't know anything about mathematics or any
facts.
of this ancient science, create no motherfucking stove, no washing machine, or able to harness light in the fermentation, what we call a light bulb. These are gods. Or go build the motherfucking
Facts.
city like you see in fucking in Chicago among the great world, the great
The
the
World's
World's
Fair.
Fair, and they all
Yeah.
over. The World Fair was in St. Louis, had fucking
Yeah. They all had power.
obelisk.
They all had
Yes.
electricity, lights, buildings, and then what they call it, the Corinthian Tower, the largest Corinthian tower, nigga, on the planet is in St. Louis. Nigga, it's 130 feet tall. It's twice as large as the Pantheon of Greece shit. So even when you come to that type of architecture, the greatest Roman architecture is in the Americas.
May I speak?
Go ahead, brother.
Brothers, I came here because I feel the unification when you were speaking of coming from Christianity, learning this information. When you was talking about as a Muslim from the NOI, learning this information, you brought you brought the transition of realness that connected me, that I feel connects a lot of people that's not as advanced as the knowledge of a Moor. They just getting over learning this information that you bring into us from the Holy Bible. And now we're hearing you speak. We're hearing a Rod Hayes speak, connecting the Holy Bible to the Quran, and making it make sense. When I hear you, brother, while I'm logged on, come from that space of realness, I'm not trying to be a guru. I'm still battling, not trying to be a Baptist. Even though I believe I'm not from Africa, I believe I am original to this land. I'm out of Compton, California. And I stopped believing a long time ago I'm out of Africa, but still people like Rod Hayes, this channel I'm on, you come from a realness from the paradigm I was taught from, out of Christianity as a Baptist. And you brothers is bringing that realness. Like, I'm not a guru.
I'm just crossing over with this new information, researching this, and it's allowing me to come to the truth of who I am. And that's what I just wanted to put down on the station that you brothers is bringing. You coming from a paradigm that I was taught from. And I was taught from my mother and father Christianity. And I heard about the Indians and the Cherokee, but I didn't really believe it. But now you brothers is kind of like the rainwater coming with this knowledge again. And I'm just more receptive as a man hearing it from you brothers. And I appreciate y'all.
We appreciate you, brother. We appreciate all our people because everybody got a role to play
That's
in our
right.
collective liberation. And your voice is just as important as mine or the brother who hosting us right now, right? We all got to be prepared to wake up. So here's a little tidbit for research purposes that y'all can look up and blow your own mind. The World Fair had lights before fucking so-called Ben Franklin and supposed to invented it.
That's right. Talk to
Now,
him.
look at right after the World Fair, they had major demolitions going on everywhere that they had a World Fair with massive dynamite explosions tearing down our infrastructure.
That's how they put out the fires, according to their records, Rod.
You know,
They
so
use black
then
powder.
when you look that up, you're gonna be amazed at how close in time frame the demolition was to post World Fair locations. Look up Great Fires. Look up any city. Great Fire of Los Angeles, Great Fire of Chicago, the Great Fire of New York, Philadelphia, Miami,
St. Louis. They had
St.
that right
Louis.
here in
They
St.
was
Louis.
burning us out. But see, this how they backdoored us
Philadelphia
because
and
it's
Baltimore
important
too.
to know. Yeah. So it's important that
Just
we
think of
know.
fire chief, Rod. It be simple.
Yeah.
The shit be simple. They steal our identity. What they call the nigga who burning our shit down? The fire chief.
Mm-hmm.
And what is he doing? He's setting the shit on fire. In the Great Fire of St. Louis, they say that they use black powder to blow up over 400 buildings. And they premise is that they using the black powder to blow up the buildings to stop the fire. If you look October 18th, 1871, you got 3 great fires, one in Michigan, one in Illinois, and one in Wisconsin. On the same day, October 18th, 1871. And like I always tell niggas, what make a fire great? The fire ain't gonna be great to you unless you burning down your enemy shit.
Yep. Oh, he cut out.
It's right.
So look, the cities that when they burned them up, the next thing they did was because we used to like to build on the water, literally like build cities that floated on the water or that was on a peninsula protruding into the water. We built elaborate structures. A sizable portion of downtown Chicago is underwater in Lake Michigan. They don't want us to know that. So they try to get us to believe that they just built Chicago and it only came about under a guy named Jean-Baptiste de Sable, whose name translates from French to English as John the Black Baptist, who came from Haiti. Right? So this is what they want us to follow, this narrative they've given us. Chicago been our metropolis for thousands of years, the same as LA.
Hey, Rob, real quick. I just want to say one thing. I'm sorry. You from Chicago, right? You from Chicago, right?
I was born in Cook County Hospital.
Have you ever heard of Rock Island?
Yep.
Now, what do Rock Island got castles on it?
Yeah. So this how they backdoored us with our castles. They had to declare our land abandoned because they said we crashed into a ship that they call the Mayflower now, but it was originally called the Plymouth. Remember Malcolm said we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. The Plymouth crashed into the sandbar in the bay right there where DC at. The 10 square miles was the crime scene, right? That's the contested shipwreck. So while we was all leaving our castles, whole families was leaving our castles to go fight in Seminole Wars. So when the Louisiana Purchase came about, guess where we concentrated at? Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, North and South Virginia, and the Carolinas. We all down there because we got a stronghold holding the Spanish Armada at bay, in Florida. So when the Louisiana Purchase came, they sent a guy that we call him Benjamin Banneker, but in the Lodge they called him Big B and Bay. And Big B and Bay was the escort of Lewis and Clark when they were surveying the land to determine if the land was viable with resources. They went all the way to Portland and Oregon and Washington State, and then they came back. When they seen that our castles was empty, they declared that we had abandoned our property, and so they used squatter rights to come and settle under the protectorate agreement of the Louisiana Purchase, right? So when they did that, we out of position to fight them on the West Coast because we all concentrated in Florida. That's how they did it.
That's
That makes sense.
motherfucking interesting, man. That's definitely Hey, Rod Hayes, I would love to get you on here if you can, man, to do a bill with me, definitely, man, because I know you out there on a lot of platforms, but I got some certain questions for you. That's why I know I'm gonna get you to go kind of deep on. And even when you get said like we built structures off the rivers, right? Would any of these star forts be ours? These star forts that they seeing, like, because one thing I see, like, all right, for example, where I'm in Jersey, right? So I'm from North. So all right, the Statue of Liberty is sitting on a star fort, right? Now you
You know
got
that's
the
a
Hudson.
drag queen, right?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. I know the Statue of Liberty is some illegitimate shit. But the fort itself, well, I'm from my research, a lot of these forts, they was basically trading posts.
Yep. So you know who talk about that is Chief Warhorse. She got a whole video on YouTube. You can listen to her tell you how we stored food in the salt mines so to dehydrate it, so that we can carry big slabs of meat in the summertime without it going bad. But she explained how at all of the military outposts, we had food storage facilities. That's what they use in Colorado, in the mountainous regions. We have ancient records under lock and key by this government, right? So we had to get a grid, and I referred Dane Calloway to, because he got to give in our tradition, our oral tradition, when a tribesman discovers something that affects all of the tribes, he have to immediately put it in the public domain for analysis and verification from other chiefs on the land to determine if this is something that we need to act on. But I came on here today because I wanted to have you inbox me so we could set something up. And yeah, so I definitely want to come back in here and get back with you on some other stuff. I want to talk to you, just me and you first, just to get familiar with each other.
Yeah, we could do that definitely. If you would like to put your email in the chat room, I'm gonna copy it and I'm gonna definitely email you soon as this build is
My
over with.
emails are, the government froze all my emails. I had about 10 of them. They all froze.
Wow.
They literally all froze. I even made a new one and that one froze too. So I can't use email, but you can catch me on Instagram or Facebook. You can inbox me on Messenger. We can take it from there.
All right, that'll work. That'll work. So hold on, let me see something. Put your handle in the chat room if you can. I know you got a bunch of handles. Matter of fact, you know what? You got a YouTube channel I've been watching the last couple weeks.
So look, my YouTube channel, I can't mind. It's only me. I be working like it's a whole team, but it's
Yeah.
just me. People think I got like this big ass crew of motherfuckers that be, doing research. No, this is just me.
Mm-hmm.
I told the people on my Instagram and Facebook, if y'all see something and y'all think the people need to know it, share it on YouTube. Cause right now I'm swamped with the 2 pages, Instagram and Facebook, where I got all mad receipts. Cause they was saying I don't have no receipts, but I got more receipts than they greatest teachers. So I don't know where they come from, but I don't have no references for what I'm talking about when I've been producing the reference. Ask any of y'all elders about the black hen in the South, and they were gonna say, "Ooh, that was the most terrifying thing we ever experienced." The black hen was the black hen that was hanging from under the white sheiks that was leading the KKK in a Spanish guard. That's straight from Spain. Their whole dress code is from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
That's Moorish.
Yeah.
Scottish
Yeah.
Rite, 32 degrees, double-headed bird.
Yeah, the double-headed bird, and that's the same thing that Charles V had in Tenochtitlan. They would put that bird. They put that bird on the outside once they came into Tenochtitlan and took Tenochtitlan over. That double-headed bird. That's also, if you kind of related to the third, what's the name with Hitler. They kind of got like an offspring of that same
You
bird,
talking about the
right?
Third
Third
Reich.
Reich.
The
Third
third,
Reich.
yeah, yes,
But
yes.
here's the thing: nobody is talking about if Hitler's army was the Third Reich, what was the second and what was the first?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So the First Reich is the Holy Roman Empire. So this
Yes.
automatically gives you your first major red flag. The First Reich is the Holy Roman Empire. The Second Reich was the rise of Germany under a guy, donut maker, by the name of Otto von Bismarck,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the Third Reich rose under Hitler when he was trying to overthrow the French oppression of the Germans. And you got to remember, France is critical because France sent us the Statue of Liberty drag queen to replace the women of the land, right? France is the ones who sold the New Orleans Protectorate Agreement to the English, who backdoored us. France is also the place of the Paris Accord. You know it today as the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, right?
Hmm.
So, and France was the ones who took over Switzerland, and that's where they hid at. And if you look, they tell you that they behind all of the wars, and the only people that wasn't involved in none of them was Switzerland.
Hmm.
Right. So if you controlling all of the wars, where would you reside? You would reside in the only neutral country on the planet because you're controlling both sides of the operation. Right. They tell us that the atomic bomb was created by who? Remember?
Hold up. What's the name? What's the name?
Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein. Yes. 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 Yes.
Look up Lloyd Quartermain and the Manhattan Project.
Yes. The Manhattan. Yes. The Manhattan Project has something to do with it too.
All
Um.
Einstein did was wrote a formula for
Mm-hmm.
splitting the atom. But it was a melanated man and his melanated team of physicists who translated Albert Einstein's physics formula into an operational and workable device. His name was Lloyd Quartermain, right? And most of the early inventions of the 1900s in electronics and stuff like that was Grenville T. Woods. So they lying to us clean across the board, but we ain't never supposed to figure it out or see it.
Nope.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all where it's all at, you know. But I ain't gonna hold y'all up, man. I just wanted to chime in and tell you to contact me, man. I'm appreciating of your position and your stance because we ain't come on no ships. We was already here. We wasn't called Moors before 1492. And anybody who think I don't know what I'm talking about, produce one document where you can find the word Moor on this land before 1492 and watch him get stuck. Moor is a catch term, and it's to a group of different people together under one banner, one name. Moor is the French moray, but in Americas it's a Maru, right? And we not the same people until we are grouped under the title of Moor. That's why when we start tracing, we keep running into more around the turn of the century, right before Noble Drew Ali took prominence, right? So all of these things is critical for us as the tribes on the land to know who we are. Also, the Indigenous Rights Act gave us control of all tribal land. The only
Mm-hmm.
thing under the Constitution that was not tribal land was a 10 square mile city state known as Washington, D.C.,
Mm-hmm.
which was the third of the three city states. The first one was the Vatican, the second one was London. All this can be looked up.
No, no, that's a fact. That's a fact. What you saying? That's
Only
definitely a
reason
fact.
Only reason I keep saying it can all be looked up, right, is because like the Canaan land Moors been doing videos last couple of days talking about I don't have no receipts and I don't have no references. But if you want to go trace more, go look up the Isle of Man. It's a little island right between it's in the water by England and Ireland. It's right between them, and they call Moor for a reason. It's all in there. All you gotta do is look it up, right? These people that's masquerading as us is one of the so-called 12 tribes, specifically the tribe of Levi. Levi is another way of saying levy. And a levy's past tense is called a lien. So their system is a system of levies and liens, which is contract law, right? And then they told us that we are all we need our citizenship, but the only way you can be a citizen is you have to make an allegiance with something called a nation, and all nations are governed under uniform commercial code, meaning that anybody that's a citizen is only a straw man, and that's why they treat us like they do.
Mm-hmm.
You can kill a straw man, but all you're gonna do is he just gonna come back. He's just gonna be repurposed and come back because he's a straw man. He's a legal fiction, right? So when you start reading through the Declaration of Independence and it's talking about whenever these people get out of hand, call them the Earth spirits. The Earth spirits manifest in human form as us in order to resolve the issue. In this case, the issue is on this land called the Americas today. We have people over here that ain't from here that's trying to tell the people that's from here that they came from Africa so they can group us all together. And then when we say we from Africa, they say, see, I told you they abandoned the land. They all claim Africa now. And
Talk that shit. Yeah.
that was they claim. So I upset they claim when I come and tell y'all, nope, we ain't from Africa. We was already here.
It's a fact. That's a fact, and that's what I'm saying. Like even like it's sad that a lot of us we think that because me myself, I don't believe in that African shit. Period. Because like I told you, like think of it like this, right? Before we even knew. Now, even some of our family members, they alluded to the fact that we was Indians or whatever, but we never took it serious until we found other people who had that same story, right? Now, think of it on another note. Prior to that, we all took that classification of African American. Now, how many of so-called Black Indians or Aborigines that's in America that's under that term? It has to be over 60 million of us here. Now I think out of the 60 million of us, the ones that was already here, it have to exceed 50 million. So all of the people that's classified as African Americans, unless they actually came from Africa or they're brainwashed under that term, are indigenous people. I do this thing for my documentary, man, where I go around and I interview. I just just have common conversations just with people along my travels, man. And I always ask them like, what tribe or what nation of so-called Aboriginal. I don't use Aboriginal because a lot of people ain't hooked on that. I just say Indian. And everybody tells me. Some people know exactly who they are. Other people be like, yeah, my people said we was Indians, but we all say that, man. My grandmother had long straight hair. And I'm like, what? I'm like, you are the Indian. What tribe did she tell you came from? Oh, well, she was saying with Cherokee or something. And I'm like, you never looked into that? I said, so what do you classify yourself as? Oh, I'm black. Oh, I'm African American. Your grandmother said you was an Indian. You in America, you don't think that has any you don't think that has any bearance? That she's claiming you to the land and you trying to separate yourself from the land? Now I don't these are some of the conversations that I have with people off of the camera, but at the end of the day, I just did a bill with a brother, because what I do is I transport cars, I haul cars, right? And I was picking a car from the auction, and there was a brother from Costa Rica. He was from Costa Rica, and it was a black brother, right? So I'm sitting up there talking to him. I'm like, yo, let me ask you a question, man. In your country, did you ever hear anything about any African slave story? He was like, hell no. The only time I heard it when I came here. So I said, in your country, you don't hear nothing about your people came in from. He said, no, my people are from the land. He ain't say he was an Indian, but he's like, no, my people have always been here. And then he's like, I could tell by my coach, and I was like, wow. And he blew my mind with that, but I already knew that anyway. That just the fact that he understood that, because a lot of people don't understand that, man. So thank you, brother Rod Hayes, man, for coming through and lightening the people. I'm definitely gonna get at you, man. We got to do a super heavyweight jam, man, where you can just go in and just elaborate, man, on a lot of different things, and I tell you like this too, right? Where some of the confusion with some of these people, outside I'm saying, outside of like people like Canaanite Moors, right? A lot of us, well, not I ain't gonna say me, but a lot of our people, like when you start getting into the Inky and the Lil and a lot of that information, a lot of people they're not on that level. They're
Yeah.
not on that level, and and see they sit there and they will sit there and they don't have no grasp or no understanding to it because the only thing that they're focused on is just this indigenous, and all of this shit kind of relates. All of it has some type of relation to it, whether we can whether people agree with it or they don't agree with it. And I tell people, listen, man, you know if it don't apply, let it fly. If it's not something that you can get with, then there's plenty of other bills that you can be part of. But this information is relevant, and this is history, and this is something that we need to be brought up to.
Right.
So
So I don't normally like to talk about anything outer space related because our problems is on the earth right now. And the issues that we need to be dealing with is earth related issues. And if they keep telling us to look up, look up, look up, we can't see what's going in front of us. So that's why, but now we at a point where it's so important that I have to say something because we about to see some what we call aliens all over this motherfucker because they come in to collect motherfuckers that don't belong here, right? And they already then announced that Inky's family is went through the Andromeda Council, which was the ones who was technologically equally advanced or more so to the Anunnaki to keep them out of the Earth realm, right? So I have to talk about it now, but I would rather talk about the Indigenous Rights Act of the United Nations, the Indigenous Rights Act of the United States, and the continuity of government from FEMA so that we can be up to speed with what's going on in real time. And then when you see those documents, you know what the fuck they had. It's everything they doing in the media right now is smoke and mirrors. So we won't focus on those documents because they gave everything back, including the wealth that they couldn't use. All they could do was stockpile of wealth because it wasn't theirs. And so what did they do is borrow money against the wealth, using us in the wealth as collateral for the debt. I don't owe that $9 trillion debt they got up there. That's no got nothing to do with me. That's all in order to finance a military occupation of a foreign land. It's foreign to them, but it's motherfucking home to us. I've been knowing this since I was little, right? And I used to keep asking my mama when I was little, where did these people come from? And she'd be like, what people is you talking about? I didn't know how to explain to her the foreigners on the land that I can sense in my bones, but I don't know who they is. Now I know exactly who these motherfuckers is, so I tell the clans, some of the clans who went to war and won against the Moors have to wear the fez. And they don't want to understand the reality of all Moors not dirty Moors. I'm not anti-Moorish American, I'm anti-dirty Moor because those are the ones who use the pale faces to block us out the institutions so that they can control us by pretending to be civil rights leaders.
Facts.
Facts. Hey, real quick, can I ask the brother Ron Hayes a question real quick? If you don't mind, A1. Well, if you don't mind.
Bro,
I
you
don't
know this
mind.
is
You
this
just
this
go. If
nigga
you
nigga
don't
this
mind, I
nigga
don't
this
mind.
home.
Okay.
Nigga this home nonetheless. Go ahead, man.
No,
Bill.
no. I
Drive,
mean,
drive.
y'all having a good build, bro. So I don't want. I want to get some clarification on something because from the way I look at things, right, and I'm reading these books. I believe that even the Bible, the Quran, I believe that the entire history that's in the public domain in all these books happened no more than 700 years. I'm saying the entire history. All these stories come from a 700-year period. Anything older than that, I believe they don't know or they speculate. I mean, it could be anything. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. It could be a civilization more advanced than what we have now. I mean, what I'm trying to point out is that do you look at how old do you think the history is that we can verify? How long can we go back?
Okay, so it depends on which record source we're using. Because I can read hieroglyphs. I can go to Mexico and read the petroglyphs on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and I go to Egypt and read the hieroglyphics. So I don't need their history books to tell me, but their history books is the method of control. It was weaponized, right?
Okay.
So the weaponized history books is only as old as 1492. That the history that was written since 1900 is not the same history. If you get a world history book from before 1900, it's gonna read entirely different. And some of the shit in there, you're gonna be like, "Where the fuck? I didn't ever know this happened. Where this come from? And why they don't teach us this? Because it's entirely different world history. Because the history they're giving the people in the matter of fact, if you read world history from a European perspective, it don't read the same way as the narrative that they gave us. So you ain't far off. You dealing right in the ballpark. 1492 to 2022 is the collective of history that's distorted to control us.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because you seeing stories that are okay. You'll read one story and it's about a whole different family. Then you'll read a similar story that's similar, but they just change the names. You feel me?
So that's what they call putting you in the loop. The only way to find out how to get out the loop is you got to find the anomaly in the story. The anomalies is normally in a name, and the name is either the definition of the name is the key, or the history of the name of the place tells you more information than what they want you to have.
Okay,
Exactly.
I got a question real quick. I got a question, and I wanted to. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all
We
hear
can
me?
hear you. We can go
Yeah, we
ahead,
can
bro.
hear you.
Okay. I wanted to go back to when you was talking about the difference between the Moors and the Canaanites and all this stuff because I was just before I got on in this chat, I was listening to Bobby Hemming and I listened to him heavy, like OD. And I was wondering, like when he was talking about on one video, he said they had black people that look like us, already in Maine doing hieroglyphs. And then in another instance, he talked about how the small percentage of Africans that did come on the slave ship, they placed them in different areas, like in the Caribbean or Jamaica or whatever, to recreate something. Basically, all together, he was saying that it had whatever happened had to be done in order to, you know, because our history is so old. Like we go back trillions, and we can almost go back trillions of years. But he said when the white folks came here, it was black folks already studying hieroglyphs. So, and I was wondering, I'm like, when you said
We
we not,
invented that shit.
huh?
We invented when you study Mississippian culture, right? The Mississippian Indian culture.
Mm-hmm.
It tell you that no matter what, who come on this land over here, our culture remain intact through the arts.
Okay.
If we can read our culture in the arts, it can tell you where everybody at on the land.
Right.
Right.
Cause
This includes the hieroglyphs, the mural paintings that they call graffiti, to the music, to the hip hop, to the blues, all that shit connected to us.
so basically, hieroglyphs was more like a world, like well before they came was created. It was really a worldwide thing amongst melanated people, neuromelanated people.
Right. But it originated over here. The oldest hieroglyphs is over here. The oldest pyramids is over here. The oldest mounds are over here. We talking about the BC period, like before Greece rose to power. That's how old we talking. The relics over here are. We got one of the oldest pyramids in the world is in Alaska,
Mm. So
right?
this before, like the Phoenicians and the Etruscans, which were derivatives
So,
of
so
Romans and stuff.
when you
Not
hear the word Phoenician is a misnomer because the people they call Phoenicians sold burgundy and purple garments. And
okay.
the color of the garment is the Phoenician, not the people,
Oh, oh,
which
oh,
can be verified by a little etymology research.
oh. So basically, what Bobby was saying was true, but it's like you could explain that shit even more so than what he said. Pretty much, it goes even
Right.
deeper.
Because, I had to pick up where he left off.
Yeah,
Bobby Hemmy came and just dropped a bunch of information, but the information that he dropped is such an extreme volume that it's
yeah.
scattered. So when I get a hold of it, I got to say, well, he said this here and this here. You put them together, this is what you get. The same thing I had to do with Elijah Muhammad, Clarence 13, X, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, um, Noble Drew. We've been talking in code in their face the same way they was doing us, but only certain ones of us know how to crack the wind talker code.
Right.
That's because it
Okay.
wasn't for everybody. It was only for the young ones.
So I know Bobby Hemmett also said that when they came here and we mixed with the Africans and stuff, basically he was saying that's Osiris being recreated.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go back to the Pan-African research. This is what the Pan-Africans from Africa told me over here as a Pan-African. We only Pan-Africans to make an alliance against the colonizers who colonized both sides of the water.
Right.
We was already friendly clans in Africa and the Americas, in Asia and in the Americas. We got their blood because we've been trading wives across the water for thousands of years, right?
Right.
So they don't want us to know that, so they try to tell us we originally from over there. But when your Pan-Africans that live in Africa that's from those tribes say, hey, no, y'all organic over there. Y'all the same way a tree grow out the ground, that's how y'all emerged in the Americas. Y'all been there.
Yeah.
Y'all organic to that land. And I kept saying, well, why in the hell is they telling us we from Africa if they know we from over here? And I couldn't figure it out for a long time until I started looking at it from a military perspective. Militarily, if you don't know who you is, you have no claim to your birthright. And if
Most
you don't
definitely.
have if you don't claim your birthright, then whoever claims it, all they got to do is say you abandon it. And if you don't protest, they win.
Pretty much. That's why laws like civil Mois came about, which means if you're black, that means you're dead in the eyes of the law. And that's why your birth certificate, they make money off of that. That's pretty much a contract you saying that they own you.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's a
much.
savings bond. It's an international savings. Remember, I told you they can't sell our wealth, but they can borrow against it,
Yeah.
right? The only way they would ever be able to pay that debt is if we abandon the Americas. We got to abandon our property
Hmm.
so they can settle their debts. But since they can't settle their debts, then we get to declare them as international criminals.
Right.
global criminals using the same shit they use to oppress us. They telling us the whole story in the law.
Pretty much.
The Supreme Court already ruled that we was perpetual enemy combatants in the 1800s. They never overturned that shit.
That shit's still law. That's still
So
law.
that's why they can kill us and walk away.
Yeah. Yeah.
We at
Yeah.
war. They
Pretty much.
soldiers killed one of our soldiers. That's how they look at it.
Yeah. And
That's
it
just
all.
another less soldier in their military that they got to contend with.
Hey,
Yeah.
bro,
Go
bro,
ahead.
when that
Go ahead.
yo, see that I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because around the time when you had certain people in the community trying to cause confusion, you had this white boy up in Buffalo killing about what he killed like 12 people, right?
He killed
So
about 12 grandmas and
that's what,
pawpaws.
bro. Thank you. And we should have been talking about that because he actually put on the public domain what he was going to do, and authorities knew about this shit. So he announced what he was going to do beforehand, almost like he made a public declaration saying that he was going to do this shit. So now you got people who claim that they protecting grandma, right? That didn't speak it up. That they were speaking about the vision the same day, the day after. You see what I'm saying? That's why I was so pissed off because yo, during this time we should be discussing this shit because that dude just walked away. You
Look,
feel me? And
one
I
of the
look,
things, yeah, one of the things that we gotta take into consideration is this: when the police want you and they gotta go to a judge to get a piece of paper to approve it, what is that called?
that's called a warrant.
Right. Breaking into a compound word. It's a war rant. What do the word rant mean? It's an ongoing statement, ain't it? A run-on statement.
Right, right.
In the first part being a war. So what do declaration mean? An open public statement, right? So when they issue a warrant for one of us, it's actually a continuation of an ongoing declaration of war. But they don't discriminate as much as we'd like to believe them based on skin color. They discriminate based on genetic heritage of the land. We had all shades of people over here before they came, and we lived in harmony. All of a sudden, they came and they brought some shit called racism, and racism is a military derived system. It falls under republic, and anything that's under the republic goes back to the Republic of Plato. So they know what they doing. We just don't know what they doing. They telling us if how do you declare war against one person? He has to be a sovereign. He has to be a sovereign in his sovereign capacity because he then is a walking nation unto himself. He's a whole country unto himself as a sovereign. So they have to issue a war rant, a declaration of war, because you can't invade a country without declaring war. But we don't know enough military strategy and protocol in order to piece them pieces together. And that's why we keep falling behind on it. But yeah, I got a video on my Facebook about all of this and they laws, and I use the brother with degrees because he got the degrees to show you what I'm talking about. Right. So it's all there.
Yeah, that's a fact, bro. It's a fact. So when because I was thinking that too, because they sitting there reading this guy's declaration. He driving 200 miles to go kill people in so-called other people's territory, and they supposed to be protecting. That's supposed to be their territory, but they allow this thing to happen. You got certain Indian tribe that's up there in Buffalo, and they not talking about that.
Hey, bro, let me say something too, real quick,
And,
right?
and
Yo, I
most
went to,
likely who he killed off was one of the elders that was a record keeper. They love to kill a record keeper because they're killing a library of information.
You
bro.
said that's one of the people he killed.
Yup.
Most
Yeah,
likely.
that's what he
I
said.
bet you, because he's saying they talking about he killing grandmothers and shit.
Well, I mean, that's the whole push right now for us, for everybody to find their nation. If you don't know your nation, you can't get nothing back, bro.
Hell
Well, first
no.
thing you got to understand about a nation is this. This is the most important thing to understand about a nation. A nation is a corporation governed under uniform commercial code. We sovereign beyond a nation. Our inalienable rights override any declaration of a nation because a nation is a corporate entity, a legal fiction.
Right.
Hmm. That's right. That's
That's
a
a hundred
fact though.
percent fact. Hundred
That's a
percent
fact.
fact.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when I use the term nation, I derive the term from natural. So like I don't put it like under like no uniform commercial code status though. But
Right.
one
So you
thing.
got to change that because when we talking about nations, we talking about General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, Apple, Halliburton. We talking about companies.
Hmm.
But when you
Damn.
want to talk
Standard
about
Oil.
right, so when you want to talk about being natural, you organic, right? Or
Hmm.
you derive
Right.
from nature, right? So in the Constitution, in the Declaration of Independence, I mean, it tells you that whenever these people get out of hand, call them the spirits of the earth. These spirits of the earth manifest in human form. And this is how we was instructed by our ancestors to overthrow this shit. That's where we at now. All we doing right now is Juneteenth shit. We running behind all our people saying, hey, they didn't gave it back, but you keep bringing these motherfuckers back to life. You keep
Hmm.
resurrecting the dead contract.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And that's in look, that's in a great little piece what you just said. You resurrect the spirits of the dead. That's also the firekeepers that was in the Great Lord Peace said that because one of the things that stood out to me when I was kind of going into it, it was saying that no foreigner can own land here on this continent or here on the Amaruki. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people that shit went over their head. But one thing I say this right, I went to Niagara Falls for New Year's, right? So in that park, in Niagara State Park, right, when you walk out it got a motherfucking aborigine. It got an aborigine there, right? And they got plaques of other aborigines, right? And one of the aborigines' last name, her name was Sarah. God damn, I can't remember. I think Sarah Green. Now, when I drove through Buffalo, right? Buffalo is inhabited by all Negroes. Buffalo looks like I'm from North. I done been to Newark, Baltimore. I done been fucking Texas, the Carolinas, and you know our neighborhoods. You know where the so-called indigenous inhabited people live. And when I was riding through Buffalo, I was like, yo, outside this park is the motherfucking hood. And I'm like, wow. All I kept saying was nigga. And I'm like, yo, wait a minute you saying that Buffalo was an indigenous place that was ruled by indigenous people? Where the fuck are all these people at? All these people are on the outskirts of this motherfucking town, and they're now classified as African Americans
Or Negroes.
or Negroes, colors, blacks, etc.
It's
You understand?
ironic that you would bring up a melanated sister named Sarah in around Niagara Falls because this a famous in the legends of our people. One of the most famous sisters' name was Sarah. They nailed her in a barrel during the Salem witch hunts and sent the barrel over the falls. When the barrel hit
Hmm.
Dang.
the bottom of the falls, it broke and she swam out and got up on the other side and they were scared to death of her after that.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
they kept saying there's no way. That's why people kept killing themselves trying to ride barrels over the falls, trying to duplicate what she did, and they couldn't do it. They kept getting killing themselves. But
Wow.
she was protected by the spirits of the earth.
Hey, check this out. This Mound Street right here in St. Louis. I don't know if you can see that sign, but it's a Mound Street.
See, all that stuff, man. Look, they tell us every major city got an Indian village.
Hold on,
Hmm.
I'm about to show you what's left of the mound. I was in traffic, and I thought since we all right here, that it would be a great time to learn something. So I'm about to show y'all what's left of the Indian Mound, and this in the hood in St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? You can see it's all industrial now.
Yep. Yeah, you showing it there,
Say
bro.
this.
Wow.
This what's left. This what's left. See, we right here on the Mississippi.
Wow.
This everything. They burnt all this land down in the Great Fire and took it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Mississippi water got dirty.
Yup.
The Mississippi used to be crystal clear. You used to be able to stand on the banks anywhere you walked up to the Mississippi and damn near see the bottom of the water under piers. Now it's all murky.
But my homeboy was just telling me that 3 days ago.
That's from mud floods and fires and burying cities under the water.
Hey, real quick, Rod, let me ask you a question. What do you know about the great earthquake of 1811?
Um, Shit, there was a few of them around that time frame. But I would have to be more like which one you talking about more specific in order to go into any detail on it.
There was
Hey,
an
look.
earthquake. No, go ahead. Who got
No,
something to say?
I was just gonna say as I'm looking at this, because these supposed to be just piles of dirt. Why is what's left of this mound one big ass boulder if these was piles of dirt? Shouldn't it be a pile of dirt?
Facts.
Pyramids, man. It was all
Yeah,
pyramids
bro.
up and down.
That's a fact.
Pyramids. It's all pyramids up and down the Mississippi, man.
That's a fact.
Drew Ali said that. He said it was all pyramids up and down the Mississippi, and they tore all that shit down. And it's like, they did that shit in numerous places, man. It wasn't just like you said, it was all over here. And you know
And
what I'm saying?
they got the
Any
nerve to call this Mound Street.
Yep. So any of they stories they like, for instance, they talk about the like you brought up the great earthquake that could have been caused by massive explosions and tearing down our infrastructure, trying to make it look like didn't nobody live here. But all
Hmm.
you got to do is look up American castles. They all over this motherfucker. Most of
Yeah.
them they turned into prisons and state buildings.
And look, real quick, you was building on that on Sister G platform right now. Look, Broadway State Prison in Broadway, New Jersey, right? Broadway used to be a river that ran through Broadway. That's why they call it Broadway, right? And what they did was build a dam to redirect the water. Now, Broadway State Prison is actually shaped like an X, right? It's actually shaped like an X, and it has a big mound on top of it. And I noticed the same with the prison out there, Alcatraz, because Alcatraz was sitting on the island, which was some type of trading port at some point in time. And it's a lot of them that once I start looking at, I'm like, yo, these structures been here. This is not no shit that they built, because there's no, like, even a lot of these city halls, like the city hall in Newark, New Jersey, it got underground tunnels. And when you go inside of it, you can look and see that these people did not build this shit. And I'm
It's
quite
too
sure
old. It's too old.
it's too
All that
old.
stuff is all that stuff is too old. You got too many buildings that's massive with intricate design that's older than 1492.
Mm-hmm. That's a
Right.
fact.
For instance, you got one upstate Michigan in the Upper Peninsula, a prison called Marquette. When you look at it, you know it used to be a castle,
And
and
that's
you
a good.
know it from the architectural style. It had to be built somewhere around the 500s.
I'm about to take you to the Corinthian Tower. I got about 2 minutes. I'm gonna pull up on that. It's larger than the towers in Greece. It's right here in the hood, also in St. Louis. And like you say, it's nothing but so-called Negroes that live around all of these places because
Hey,
it
you know
still
that
resonate with us.
that famous arch in St. Louis is a
Mm-hmm.
it's a disconnected stargate.
Yeah, they say If you look it up, the pilots of the airplanes say that whenever they got their airplanes on autopilot and they get around the arch, they got to take it off autopilot because the arch will pull their planes towards it.
Yep. And that's that draw from it being a Stargate.
Hmm.
Because
Right.
see, St. Louis before the railroads, the Mississippi was the highest traffic area. So that gateway, that arch represent when they came here from over Ellis Island and all that, came up the Mississippi, and then they went out west to go steal gold. But they say damn near every U.S. city was started as them digging for gold because they came over here to steal because they was all peasants. You got 1849, they in stagecoaches going and looking for gold, digging up our backyard. So if you in a
Listen,
stagecoach, how the fuck was you building pyramids?
look, a lot of that is a misdirected narrative that they was all peasants. You got to go back to Moors being exiled from Europe, specifically Spain. And we talking Spanish Inquisition, and then you'll see when they start leaving in 1492 is when Europe started getting the upper hand on them
Yeah.
and kicking them out of Europe. So they needed to find an alternative place to go. They first sent them to Al Maghrib, which is northwestern Africa. So then they started coming over here. They divided Africa up in the Berlin Conference. We, our people, all of the originals of the earth, got together at something called the Bang Dong Conference, right? And we came up with a strategy to fight back, right? Using high spirituality as the first weapon of choice. This is why Elijah Muhammad didn't want to participate in anything with the firearms because he knew that the conjure we was using is going to be bigger than going to physical war, right? So when you look that up, Bang Dong Conference, you'll see that we had formulated a group to counter them. So when they got kicked out of Europe, they needed a place to go. They went first. They went to Al Maghrib, and then they came over here. But what was our response is the most important part, because when they came over here, they used pale faces to block the institutions, and then they killed off our leaders, our seers, our oracles, so that we wouldn't know what was going on the land. Once they done that, then they started passing themselves off as us by coming and hang out with us. So this is how you get your Ellis Island immigration. While by them blocking us out of institutions using pale faces, the big mama said, well, fuck it. Since they lost over there already, call them motherfuckers over here so they can lose over here too. They already beat them. They already kicked their ass. Now, what we did was we invited a massive amount of European immigrants to overrun their institutions with pale faces that was friendly to our cause. This how we end up with this many pale people over here compared to what it was before they came. We had pale people, but they wasn't in the number that we have them now before they came. When they was blocking us out of institutions using pale faces, Big Mama invited them in mass to overrun their institution with friendly pale faces that was still hostile to the forces that subjugated and raped their babies and drunk their blood. They got statues of that shit all over Europe.
Now you see where we at, A1. We right in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
It's Corinthian Tower, 130 feet tall.
Which is an obelisk.
Now
Yup.
this a
Which is
Greek
odd.
pillar. What is a Greek pillar doing in the hood? We in
Mm-hmm.
the
So they
hood.
say. So they say it's a Greek
So
pillar,
they
like
say.
they. So they
So
say,
they
just like
say.
you. It's an obelisk in the middle of Central Park, and it's arches, and that's something else, man. Like doing the research over here, we found out that the arches and all of these buildings that got these arches was created by us. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, once this is beyond the paradigm of just understanding that you indigenous to this land. This is understanding your history and recognizing that your people had a science that these people are still utilizing today. And then at the same token, they telling you some primitive, You some primitive being. When everything that goes around the world came from us here. All of the sciences that these people come here to learn is the sciences that they learned from us, and now they teaching people everywhere else on the fucking planet.
So, due to trace the history of Greece, you end up going back to Egypt. And Egypt settled Greece, and the architectural designs of the Egyptian stonemasons is the architectural design that was given to Greek, and we set up Egypt. We left from over here to set up Egypt because there were some people that became Nephala in the Bible. Nephilim. The Nephilim allegedly fell to earth, but they came to earth, and the Nephilim, we know them as Anunnaki. And so this is why we even set Egypt up in the first place to watch them motherfuckers, because they came with nefarious shit on their mind to begin with. And the women seen it and sent us to set Egypt up.
So real quick, so when you talk about Marduk, because they said Marduk, would Marduk be one of them?
So it's two Marduks. You got to know how Anunnaki move. They name their children after another family member. Like, for instance, my big brother might name his first son George. I would name my first son George after my brother's son. So one of them is actually pronounced Marduk, and the other one is pronounced Marduk. But one of them is Enki's son, one of them is Enlil's son. When the Anunnaki Wars broke out on Earth between the children of Enlil and the children of Enki, Thoth sent his brother to go secure Anu, because Anu was on what you call a stateside visit to Earth when the war broke out. So he got trapped on Earth with a small contingent of his people. They settled around the equator. They'll never move far from the equator because they don't like the cold. So in Japan, they known as the Ainu, right? But they got different names around the world on the equator. But they also called the golden ones because they reddish gold complexion, right? But they also because they came to collect gold. The ones that came to collect gold were called the golden ones. So Marduk was Enlil's son, who he told to overthrow Enki and Inanna in the story. Another good book to get on that is Inanna Returns and Inanna Hyperluminal. If you get those two books, it's going to shed a lot of light on what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna definitely look them up.
Hey guys, real quick, I gotta ask you a question, brother. What's up with this guy? I heard you talking about the Louisiana Purchase right earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What about who's this guy Napoleon, bro? Because I found news articles where they was talking about the Battle of Waterloo, and that was in an American paper. And St. Helens Islands is two of them. One in South Carolina and there's one in the Middle Atlantic Ocean, in between Africa and like South America. And they said that's where he passed away at, right? But I'm looking at that wasn't named St. Helens Island. The one off of South Carolina was, because they got reports of this Napoleon being exiled to these islands. Which one do you think it was?
I'm not sure. The island I thought he was on is closer to France.
The Isles of Wight?
Um,
No, that's where King Prince Charles was in that. He got exiled to that one, Isles of Wight. But see, they got two names. They got an Isles of Wight in America, but they got one over there.
so that's Anunnaki. They call that mirrors. They setting up mirrors.
Okay.
So if you look, almost every city got a twin city somewhere in the world. The twin city to where I'm at, Pontiac, is in Japan,
Okay.
right?
Mm.
So that's how the Anunnaki set up in order for them to claim more. Like, for instance, the two brothers is a dispute, and I want to take my brother's stuff up. I got to match up all the mirrors first. Once you match up the mirrors, then that's what you call the liberation of the people, because you can see clearly what's being done.
Right, right.
But as long as the mirrors remain unmatched, you can't see the story. You can only see part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's crazy, man. We got a whole street out here in Port Arthur called Twin City, bro.
That's one of the things about Minnesota. Minneapolis and St. Paul is twin cities, right? That's one of the few twin cities that's side by side. Yeah, but they got the same road layouts and everything. That's Anunnaki. That's how they put their stamp on stuff. So they name their children after each other to confuse the commoners, and then they change the names in the, because hindsight 2020. So they'll wait till the event is long past, and then they'll go back and change names in order to make it look like somebody else done it when all the time it was them. The great mystery makers.
Yo, man, definitely, man. I'm gonna definitely be reaching out to you. I'm gonna hit you up on Facebook because I don't even know I forgot my Instagram. I ain't been on Instagram in a minute. But I'm gonna hit you up on Facebook, man. I'll drop my number in there, man. And more likely, you can call me whenever you get time, so we can set up something, man. Definitely, because I know that the people, they definitely, they definitely like this conversation we having, man. And like me myself, I love to hear beyond. I love to hear about this history, man. Because a lot of this stuff, man, people they can't put it together properly, man. And
Yeah.
you
So
know,
scroll my Facebook page, and you're gonna be amazed at some of the receipts I got. Also, my Instagram page is loaded with receipts too. I got two Instagrams. I got two Facebooks, but I only use one, the Rod Hayes page.
I
right.
got a question. I got a question. What do y'all think of these people, spiritual people who like to use tarot cards to predict people's fates? Because I was on the page. You probably heard of this dude named Black Magic or Dark Magic or whatever. I can't think of his name. He be on YouTube, and he had a girl and their sister on there talking about spirituality. And he was like, well, explain the astrology to why 10 people got shot in Buffalo and all that. And I think in so many words, she was saying we should be forgiving and fight this with love and compassion. What are you all's thoughts on that?
You talking about fighting with the love and compassion? That's what you talking about? Yeah, I'm gonna fight them motherfuckers with my foot in their ass. They gonna get all
That's
the
what I'm
love and
saying.
compassion, and when they get my foot out their ass and they getting medical attention, then they can get their love and compassion from the doctors and nurses. That ain't my job. My job is to tell the truth, offend motherfuckers who don't want to be offended with the truth, because the truth is the only liberating force we know.
Try.
So I'm not one of the let's go along, get along, march together, arm in arm, kumbaya. That's not me. Only reason why I ain't in the streets tearing up shit, because my chief or my tribe said that we need to be brain banging, and it's a mental game and it's of galactic proportions. So I buckle down in the books, right? So now I know where all they secrets at. I've been putting that shit in the open for the people to see what they did to us and what to do next. The only thing we got to do now, which is already beginning, Dr. G putting together the war protocol, which means women are ready. When the women are ready, then that's when we all gonna be rallied. We gonna naturally just jump up to their defense. It's they shit, and we secure it for them. That's just all it is to it. So if they want somebody that's gonna be go along and get along and turn the other cheek, then they better leave me the fuck out of it.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking
I
when I
agree
seen,
100%.
yeah,
Definitely.
when I seen the stage, I was baffled. I mean, because I knew what place she was speaking from, but astrologists always off-putting sometimes with some of their messages because their messages could come off as passive. And they ain't sending a bad message. It can sound passive, and it came from a woman. So of course, a lot of women are gonna have some of that. Not all women, but a lot of our women are like that.
Right.
And then you
What,
got some that man, they need to jump on some of these boys.
so when you study the history of Kali Ma, you see them always painting her as a grotesque being. She in war mode. When she's sitting there with her tongue out and all of these implements of war, she got an axe in one hand, a sword in one hand. She got like 8 different hands. She got heads in some of her hands. That's because she in war mode. When the women go into war mode, men automatically, we don't know what it is. It's something in nature that makes us stand the fuck up. Right? So the women not even on no passive shit right now. They don't know. I want my shit. This day shit. So I tell them where to find everything at so that they can get their shit back. Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. So like the word aboriginal, I like that the sister Sovereign Energy just posted up. There are no black Native Americans, only Aboriginal American Indians. The word aboriginal is a compound word. Ab meaning heart in Egypt. Or is source energy, spirit energy. You can get an orgone accumulator to make certain stuff out of the orgone energy for manifestation purposes. Right? So we are from the original heart of the creator, which is, we call her Big Mama. So they can take it or leave it, accept it or don't. We just gonna tell the truth and let the chips fall where they must.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you
God.
said Big Mama because I was looking at some shit that somebody was saying about April 30th with the retrograde and all that. Brother Youssef was talking about that. He was talking about the retrograde, but he also came in after everything that went down because he said before everything went down, he said a lot. It's gonna be a lot of chaos. There's gonna be a lot of stuff going on, and he was right. First thing happened, Kevin Samuels died. Shah Jamal go to jail. The shooting, and then so on and so. I'd be all day. Migos broke up.
I'm gonna give you a spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Samuels ain't dead.
Uh,
Yo, I was thinking the same thing, bro. You know what? He in a
He's
movie.
Kevin,
killing
look,
the character,
Kevin
bro.
Samuels
Jesus
ain't dead.
Christ.
He's sitting over there looking like, what the fuck is going on? But he ain't dead.
They killed his character.
No,
Yeah.
it was a different Kevin Samuels that died, but people took it and ran with it. He was a police officer from Atlanta.
I didn't know that. So,
Look at,
so
hold on. Even if that man didn't die, his character is dead now.
Hey,
yeah.
there it is right there.
So where can he possibly be at then? I know you don't know, but just a speculation.
He could be anywhere. The Earth a big place.
Might be meditating with Russell Simmons.
He he better tell Russ to keep his hand out his pants.
Ah!
y'all, y'all crazy.
That's the crazy thing though, man. Is like on the low, man. Our people be so sleep, bro. It's easy for a motherfucker to disappear. All they gotta do is not go on the internet, and they gonna disappear to us anyway.
Yeah, that's a fact. But it's a lot of them so-called dead celebrities just not dead. Like Nipsey is in Eritrea. Tupac was living on a native reserve in Arizona.
Didn't Nipsey
Biggie was living in Jamaica.
say Rod, didn't Nipsey get his stamps and everything? Didn't he get like probably like 2 months before he disappeared or quote unquote got killed? Didn't he get all his paperwork and everything in order and bring something back home to his people?
Um, he Nipsey was on top of all his affairs at all times. So even if he wasn't preparing for, because they had a hit on Nipsey, right? I can literally show you the hit they had on Nipsey. I posted it on my page, and I could and the more that was behind the hit, right? So we knew he had a hit on him, The only thing was, at what point do we extract him to keep him from getting murdered for real? In order to extract Nipsey, we had to get permission from Big U, because that was on his territory, that it was on his watch. That's why everybody keeps suspecting that Big U had something to do with it, because we can't take you off your land without your chief consent, even if it's to save your life. And Big U was his OG.
But yeah, that's crazy. I didn't think of Kevin Samuels. Like I didn't think he pulled a Tupac on us.
Well,
Man,
it just so happened to fall that way. He wasn't originally trying to be extracted. It's just so happened that when the guy with the same name died, that was the excuse to pull him out of the public domain, because they was coming. He was involved with some people that was very powerful in Atlanta.
yeah, he was in a fraternity in the Alpha fraternity. I can't think of the name, but he was in a fraternity. And you know, fraternity is the
Kappa.
pipeline to the
Yeah,
Boule
he a
Kappa.
Kappa. And he was too proud of it too. I just watched the whole
Way
video
too
so I could see
proud.
what he had going on.
And we all know a lot of those gatekeepers to the Boule, the Dick Gregory's, the ones we like. He knows so much. People don't know Dick Gregory was in a fraternity. He was part of the Boule. That's why you go to a video, Dick Gregory talk to him about the Illuminati. He'd be like, "Oh man, it don't exist. Da da
Let's
da da.
let's
Ain't nothing."
let's analyze this for a minute. What do you think the purpose of the boule is?
To
To
control Indians.
help keep regulate us people through the guise of they're helping us, but they're still uplifting the colonizer regime. Pretty much.
That's not their job.
That's not their job.
It's to
Go
keep the
back to
secret.
Steve Coakley, review Steve Coakley, because he break down the whole purpose of the boule. The purpose of the boule is to feed information to the king. The, the term boule is a French term.
Talk to them. They just like the Indian agents. George Bonga and them spies.
So here's the thing. Most of the fraternities was set up by the Prince Hall Lodge. Who in the fuck is Prince Hall?
Ain't in a Mason?
How did he become a Mason?
I don't know that one.
See,
The status right, bro.
this is why it become important for us to
That's right. Yeah.
this is why it become important for us to know the background of the people that's making power moves on the land. Prince Hall was one of us. Prince Hall was his quote unquote stage name. His close ally was a guy named Absalom Jones. And Prince Hall was he was the personal servant of a high-ranking Yorkite Mason. He recognized something in the lodge, and he tried to set his own lodge up, and they kept blocking him from getting a charter. So he ended up going to Europe to get a charter to set up a blue lodge over here from the red lodge. Right? That's already a issue in the lodge system itself. That means that the red lodge said that he was a rightful heir over here. And they acknowledged him, so they gave him all of his what you call administrative powers to teach the people in the public domain. So he was Blue Lodge, founder, opener of the way. Noble Drew Ali was Red Lodge. He had to go into the Moorish Zionist temple in order to get the secrets and put them in the public domain. This how we able to pass the information out in the open, where we don't have to all be in the same room to get the information, just like we doing now. So in
Red and blue.
the term boule proper, we will be doing boule work by informing the people of what's going on the land. Right? Because the chief's gonna get the information and they're gonna act upon it. Like when I don't even know how this page popped up on my YouTube. I didn't even know it was there, but when it popped up, the brother was talking about some stuff, and I'm like, yeah, he right. He all the way on point. He see, right? So I need to come in and tell him, hey, hook up with me. I want to chop it up with you, right? We would be considered by the ignorant to be boulee, even though we not doing anything nefarious to our community. But we putting information in the public domain where the chiefs on the land can get it. And that would in itself entails us to be under the definition of a boulee. So the boulee ain't what we think it is, but it was a spooky turn when Steve Coakley started telling you everything that was going on with the boulee. He started revealing how the secrets work. Once you understand how the passing of the messages work, then you can see who is who clearer. That's why they murdered him. He didn't die of natural causes. They poisoned Steve Coakley.
That's a fact. Yeah, they poisoned him, man. They killed Khaled Muhammad. You know? They say that
I, I,
motherfucker,
I
now
used to
go ahead.
love Khalid to death, but you know what his mission was, right? He went into the Nation of Islam to turn the Nation of Islam into a war machine to fight the enemy. Farrakhan said that's not the way that we're supposed to do this. So he was trying to overthrow Farrakhan. That's why they kicked him out.
Wasn't he an ex-military sergeant from Houston?
Who?
Khalid.
I don't know. I know he was a college professor, and that after the passing of Elijah Muhammad, he moved to Africa, and he was on the tour in Africa speaking when Farrakhan went and got him. But for the longest, man, Khalid was my favorite fruit. And until I found out what he was doing under covers, that hurt my feelings. The same way as when I found out these people look like us, but they ain't us. Do you imagine what a blow that would be to somebody who's thinking all the time is pale faces behind it? I was
God.
traumatized. I ain't scared to say it. I was traumatized seeing that the ones that was pulling the strings on all the dirt being done to us look like us,
No.
but they ain't us.
That's called controlled opposition.
Yes, sir.
That's the
Facts.
biggest problem, bro. That's the biggest problem we having right now.
That's why.
Controlled opposition.
That's why I
Yeah,
got to
really.
keep
Controlled
reiterating.
opposition.
Yeah. That's why I got to keep reiterating. They look like us, but they not us. They don't. They wage war against us. We never declared war against them.
Mm-hmm.
All we've been doing is defending ourselves. Black
Yep.
That,
pieces on the chessboard against some
that's what,
white pieces on the chessboard, and the white man ain't even white.
and
He
that's
look
why.
like me and you.
Yeah, that's why a lot of them Africans come over here with that mindset that they're
Yeah,
better.
that's why we call them
Akata.
because a white man back in the time meant a holy man, meant pure. So they stole that and hijacked that. That's why you see the tribes refer to them as pale faces. They don't, you know what I'm saying? White
Mm-hmm.
meant something else, and that's part of the trick knowledge. So when you read the book and it say a white man came to them, they talking about a holy man, but they
Right.
done confused us.
Yeah, but in reality, when you look up the term in legalese, the white man is a sovereign being free from the jurisdiction of the legalese. He's a royal of Europe.
Hey, don't
Mm.
they call that? Don't they call that an organic definition or something like that? Like,
No,
because
that's
they
the
changed it. They changed it. Two different styles of talking. Whenever you're talking legalese and stuff, like for you to actually understand it, you'd have to go back and find out what these certain words mean. Like you were saying earlier about like the word organic state. You know
mhm.
what I'm saying? It means something totally different than what the average person would think it means.
Yeah. So when we refer to ourselves as organic, that means we from this land. We organic to the Americas. I mean, we from the earth that make up this land over here. We ain't no different than a tree growing in Colorado or Nebraska. We organic to the land. When we say we aboriginal, that means we from Big Mama's heart. We the heartthrob of Big Mama, right? When we say that we are indigenous, this is a term they gave us. They gave us indigenous and native terms is they are negotiable. Organic and aboriginal are non-negotiable terms. That means you either are from here or you came here, right? So that's one of the things that the languages is got us confused on. And then they got what they call broken keys, right? So instead of saying Anunnaki, we could just say Naki, right? That's a broken key. It's a half a word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm about to chime out. I appreciate y'all for allowing me to come in and enjoy y'all presence, be part of the movement to liberate our minds. And the brother gonna get with me, and we gonna take this to another level on the next one.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
indeed,
Appreciate
brother.
you, man.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate
Thank
you
you,
for
bro.
coming through, man. Peace to the God, man.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. We gonna do this again, man. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you for coming through, man. Like work
Peace,
to you.
peace.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, y'all can catch me on Monday. I'm gonna be on Black Magic 363 with Dr. Phil Valentine and a couple more brothers, and we're gonna be chopping it up on some real shit. So catch us
Oh,
on there Monday.
you want to do a heavyweight bill, indeed. Shit, I know last couple times Phil been on there, they've been taking his videos off. So
Yeah,
definitely, man.
this one. If he answered my questions, I got a couple questions for him, and a couple other questions for I forgot the brother name. He a scientist, but when they answer them questions, it's gonna put everything in perspective for the people.
Indeed, I'll definitely
That's a
be looking
fact.
forward to that, man. Like I said, I'm looking forward to getting you on here. Thank you for coming, man. I hope the people appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Enjoy the
Yep.
rest of your day, brother.
Hey, keep up the good work, brother.
Indeed, you as well, man. Thank you, man.
Thank you, bro.
Yep. Each one reach one. We all got to teach some.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Yep.
Tribe.
Hey, yo, bro, real quick, yo, when the brother was talking about that woman or something, I said have love and compassion. Bro, I look at it like this. The only love and compassion that I have and the people that, in this community have is people that's not woke, bro. Because it's people out here that don't know the truth, that's out here killing each other, that's depressed, you know what I'm saying, that don't know their way. That's the ones you have love and compassion for and the patience for. You know what I mean? Your brothers and sisters, the people out here on these streets, man, or the people that don't know, who think they black, bro, and don't know their rights, man. That's who you have the patience for. Not for these jokers out here that's lying to people, trying to get them to go into this trick bag, you know what I'm saying, trying to cause division, you know what I'm saying? Those are the ones that you don't have love and compassion for because they know what they don't. You know what I mean? For the people that's asleep, that's not woke, those are the ones that you have the patience for, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Definitely, man. I mean, but yeah, man, I'm about to get up out of here, man. I definitely appreciate y'all brothers coming through, man. And
Thank you,
Appreciate
King.
you.
indeed,
Appreciate
man.
y'all, man.
Definitely, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, I'll be back on the scene, man, when the ancestors call me, man. And I'll be wanting to put together information, but I'll be having so much shit to do, man. And it's like, yo, it's kind of like I don't want to distract myself from like putting together a nice quality bill. And a lot of times I don't be coming up here to address a lot of this fucking confusion that some of these niggas be putting out here because it ain't worth my fucking time at the end of the day.
You
I
done
got
put in a lot of work though already. A1, salute to you, man. You already know what it is, bro. You ain't even gotta explain to these niggas, bro. Your documentation of this shit speak for itself. You know what I'm saying? I've been learning from your shit for probably at least 5 years now.
Hey, yo, look, you got some good things to build on too, man. You know, reach out to me, man, if you ever want to put together something, man. And that's anybody, man.
Hell
I
yeah.
mean, but definitely you, nonetheless. I know I spoke got nonetheless on here, man. He nonetheless got my information. But anytime you want to do something, man, you know, I can definitely open a platform to you. You want to get a nice little build on and just elaborate on some of the stuff that you got. You know what I'm saying? We can definitely do that, man. I'm dead serious. I could be
Yeah.
anytime. And
Yeah,
I
for
open the
sure.
platform up. I can
Yeah.
open the platform up and let you just run.
Yeah, bro. You've been telling me for a long time, bro. I got a lot of information, bro. You've been on me for a minute, bro. I need to do that, bro. Okay.
Definitely, man.
Bro.
Like I said, and then like I said, see a lot of this stuff. See, I don't mind coming up here talking. You know what I'm saying? Like brother Rod Hayes, man, he can like I could just let him go. He ain't never got to share the screen. But with a lot of us, man, we got documentation and stuff that we like to show or whatever. And that's how I like to kind of like do a lot of my builds. You know what I'm saying? Just off of information, or sometimes I just sit here and I think of something and I find a shitload of information that that reference everything that I'm already thinking. And I like to kind of put that out there, man. Today I kind of just went in, man, because I see individuals they with this aboriginal thing and trying to separate people who believe we aboriginal. Everybody believe they're aboriginals except the motherfuckers who all want to be agreeable. Mostly everybody believe that we aboriginals outside of your so-called private tribal affiliations or whatever, but everybody agree with that term. And it's like, it's certain people saying, all right, well, because this motherfucker over here, listen, I rock with a lot of people, but understand this. I'm not under nobody's rule. I do what the fuck I want to do. And like
Tribe.
I said,
Yeah.
and as far as like people opinions and everybody don't agree with me, and I don't agree with everybody else at the end of the day. And it's like, we gotta kind of like we gotta come together. But the stuff that I disagree with, even my brothers, even people in my family, we got a greater purpose. That disagreeable shit ain't really about nothing. We agree on more than we disagree. When you
Fact.
start when you got, what I'm saying, you got motherfuckers who disagree on more than you can agree on, and then that's when you just cut a motherfucker off because it's like, yo, everything we talking about we disagree on, so we don't have no reason on even hooking up because the only thing we gonna keep doing is clashing. So to keep myself from out that energy, I'd rather not even move forward with even having a friendship or any type of situation with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of people in this so-called paradigm because some motherfuckers don't consider it to be a community, even though that a lot of these people was birthed out of watching some of these 6 and 7 hour bills that we used to put together. You know what I'm
Fact.
saying? And it's like, you know what I'm saying? And motherfucker won't even give them credit because they so busy banging. Understand this, my dude. Like in this community, man, a lot of people they came from different areas. Everybody knew something, but everybody ain't always know something. I ain't always know something. I ain't come here fucking levitating with my hands in the pyramid position like I was Doctor Strange and I knew it. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew everything. I sat back, I humbled myself, and when it was my time to go, I went. And whoever said anything, like, at some point in time, everybody had to be somebody that came that was new. You know what I'm saying? But that don't make that your information can't be relevant. But some people just got big egos because I guess some people think that they was somebody on the streets, and therefore you think you're gonna come around us like that shit means something. That shit don't mean nothing to me. I
Talk
just
to.
seen, you know what I'm saying? I done seen niggas come. I done seen niggas go. So at the end of the day, it's about what kind of quality. What are you gonna leave when what legacy of this information are you gonna leave on the people? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that's why I could just pop up and we can have 300 or 400 people. And like I said, I haven't done a build in a minute. And shout out to everybody in the chat room, and shout out to everybody who rock with me and rock with the information. Because at the end of the day, it ain't about no egotistical shit here. This is your motherfucking information. You take what you can take. If you agree with some of the things I say, you agree, and we agree to disagree on the other shit. But at the end of the day, we all agree that we are the Atanchans, that we are the Aborigines of this land, no matter if you honor Yahweh, like I said earlier, Powhatan, Pamunkey, Nasha Garrett, fucking whatever you are, we all agree that the people who are classified as African Americans, Negro, Black, and color was already on this motherfucking continent, and we don't descend from no fucking motherfuckers called slaves. So
Tribe.
as long as we could continue, and respect and honor that shit, then all of the disagreements we don't need to bring up because we have a bigger dispute with the people. It's more people who disagree that we are that than the little petty ass differences that we got among the so called people who teach this information, man. So with that being said, man, anybody got something they want to say before they get out of here, man?
And I just want to say
Man,
thank you to you, bro. Shout out to the chat, man. Make sure y'all hit that like and share this stream, bro. And man, peace to everybody, man. Stay woke. You already know how we rocking. Trap, trap.
Hey, peace to the God, man. Peace
hey,
to the God, Hawk School.
man, hey, shout out to you, A1, for keep doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, I've been, like Hawk School said, bro, I have been watching you for a hot little minute, bro. You know what I'm saying? Even when you came in and was telling everybody about your struggles and, you know what I'm saying, how you started learning this shit. Hey, I rock with you, bro, and I'm rocking with everybody else, even though, you know what I'm saying, if you don't know what your tribe is, what nation you come from, none of that shit, you know you aboriginal, you know what I'm saying? Stand on your shit.
And
Peace
that's
out,
a
man.
fucking fact, bro. And see, listen, that's what people gotta get. They got listen. At least, okay, you don't know what tribe you are. At least knowing you're Aborigine is a starting point, and that's going to be a continuation even after you say because everybody not going to announce that what tribe they came from when they appear. And motherfucker gonna come up here, yo, well, what tribe you from? Or I'm this, or I'm that. Niggas ain't been doing that. So no, when you get around other motherfuckers who use that narrative to make you feel like you're nothing. Because a lot of people use that shit to make them have some higher, some, you know what I'm saying, to put themselves on a higher pedestal to make you feel like you're not shit because you don't know that information. Don't feel like you're nothing. You know you're Aboriginal. You know you ain't no African. You know you've been how do you say reclassified to basically keep you off of your land from you from claiming your heritage, man. So take the time out, talk to your elders, talk to individuals, so you can get to that point, so you can know exactly where you at in this at this point in time, because it's too much information out here for me to be walking up to individuals still saying they black. And then some people who say that they Indian, I'll be like, well, what tribe your people care? I don't know. Well, so how you know, but they know they're Aborigine. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, but they just haven't done the further research to find that out. So, do your due diligence, people, man. And it just don't start with watching, videos and everything. It also start with this is a starting point. Get to the finish point by you being classified, and that'll be one more person that we got that can solidify the fact that we're not Africans and the fact that we are from this land. So with that being said, you got something you want to say nonetheless?
No, you said it all, bro. I mean, I'm just glad you did this, bro, to let people know. You know, what I mean, I hopped on, Two Hawks, and I talked to those brothers. You know what I'm saying, and Turtle. I hopped on and let them know, like, bro, this community. Once we all got together, you knew it was A1. It was beautiful, bro. It was people from everywhere. People that said they was Moors, they would say they was Hebrews. People saying they Indian. Niggas was saying they black. You know what I mean? There was some dudes, people that thought they was Arab. We used to debate them in the private chats. Bro, but it never was about this division that these people are trying to put out here, bro. Like trying to make a separation between people calling themselves Indian and Aboriginal, bro. That's foolishness, bro. It's all
That part.
about unity. So anybody out there, I want y'all to know, anybody out here that's trying to make a separation, these people are not good for you or your community. These people are your enemies. Period. You see what I'm saying? And they don't want you to succeed. When we talk about Chief Holly, you talk about A1, TV, Aboriginal Power, Jaguar Olmec, you know what I mean? List goes on and on. Tinkar and all these brothers, man. All of these brothers, man, was all about, yo, what's your number? You want a channel, you got information, we all gonna support each other. Period. Anybody that came into your community, whether it's Sister Bethy, whoever, bro, we all showed them love. Creek running water, you know what I mean? Hobart, bro, we was all supporting each other, bro. We had differences, but we all made it where it's like we're family. You know what I'm saying? We got family disputes. That happens in our regular family. You know what I mean? Dysfunction. But we was never about this shit. Oh, if you roll with them, you can't roll with them. You can't roll with us. There's no separation. These are words. We discuss them, and then we found out there's nothing but words, bro. And Aboriginal is an organic.
movement, bro. That's all it is. It's just organic word, and it's all attaches everybody inside of it. You know what I'm saying? We had pride.
Mm-hmm.
We found deficiencies in Indian. You see what I'm saying? Because are you talking about is you Indian American? Why you gotta say American Indian? Because there's an India over there, and they call them Indians. So you gotta understand there's confusion on both with that word as well. You feel me? But that don't mean that the people that's here that's calling themselves Indians are not Aboriginal. You know what I mean? It's just foolishness. You see what I'm saying? So stop falling for that, bro. We are grown people. We need to wake these people up that's out here on these streets, that's locked up, that's in jail, and y'all talking about they don't need paperwork. But however, that's easy for you to say. But what about those brothers and sisters that need somebody to fight for them with paperwork to get them out of being locked up? You feel me? And kidnapped. You see what I'm saying? Families ain't seen them for 20 and 40 years and shit. Come on, man. We got think. Stop thinking about yourself and think about the people that don't know who they are, that don't have the records, who records was burnt up. You feel what I'm saying? That cannot find their tribe or don't have, or that's not their lane. Everybody's lane is not genealogy. They might not know how to do genealogy, bro. You feel what I'm saying? That don't mean that's not my brother. That don't mean the brother that I grew up with down the street, who family knew me for 30 and 40 years, don't consider me their family. You feel what I'm saying? I will never abandon them. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about abandonment, but you're going to abandon your people that may not be your bloodline. You know what I'm saying? But those are my brothers. That's my aunt. Even though we're not blood tied, we knew each other so long that that's my family. And I'm never going to abandon them, bro. And it has nothing to do with all this other superficial shit that we talking about in books. That's all we saying. But you got people out here that's running with a narrative saying that we're promoting something that's not true. You feel what I'm saying? So that's all I
Yeah,
want to say, bro.
and
You know what I
people
mean?
gotta be sincere though. See, a lot of
Right.
people out here they not sincere. Now that this thing has took off and got steam up under it, now everybody want to come up here like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I knew I was an Indian. Nigga, get the fuck out of here. If you knew you was an Indian, why the fuck wasn't you making videos talking about this shit when we was doing it? What gave you what gave you the fucking, you know what I'm saying? How did you start just coming out here doing it? And be humble. It's okay to give people their credit. It's not gonna kill you. Only thing it's gonna do is give you more blessings from the universe. If you sit up here and be sincere about things, man, them blessings back to you. But if you sit up here and be insincere and sit up here and lie and do all of this egotistical shit, then guess what, man? You got a debt to pay, and that karmatic cycle is definitely gonna come back around on your doorstep, man. So with that being said, man, peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses, peace to all the
Peace to the gods,
Aborigines,
bro.
north, south, central, as well as the conjoining islands, and peace to the God. My brother, nonetheless, man, we working on this crime scene, man. With that being said, shout out to the brother Rod Hayes for coming through Hall School and everybody else that came through the panel and everybody else that participated even in the chat room, man. Peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses. And once again, this is your humble brother, Ahanu Ki L, aka A1, aka a Thompson is one. And we out of here, man. Peace.